uhule politics wataka. Political prostitution. Okay? Where now we are seeing the same things that is happening, you say, in development, where the civil servant, when a senior civil servant is visiting them, they parade a person, say this and this. This is exactly what is doing in the politics. In the first place, a political party is formed under an ideology. A political party is formed under an ideology. If there is a political party that has got no ideology, these are the political parties that they should be deregistered. It's just like churches. Today, I cannot be a Roman Catholic church. Tomorrow I wake up, I'm in RCZ. The other day I'm in Zion. The other day I'm in the seventh day. Then what am I standing for? Do I have any principles in the first place? Do I understand why the church I have joined is standing for? The answer is no. This is the political prostitution that we have seen in Eastern Province. I'm talking about in Eastern Province because that is where my mandate is. And the political parties that are receiving people that are defecting from this party to this party, they must be very, very careful. They must be very, very careful. For example, let me give you. If a political party believes in communism and another political party believes in capitalism, and if I'm a supporter of socialism or communism, how can I simply means wake up and become a capitalist today? I mean, it's nonsense. That is a prostitution. It's completely nonsense. Because these parties are formed under a certain ideology, what they believe in. For example, PF, from the word go from its founder, Michael Sata, it is a pro-poor party. That's what he has been saying. It means there are elements of communism and socialism. When you look at UPND, for example, from the time of Mazoka, the way we have understood the MMD, UPND, is standing differently from, its ideology is different from that of Patriotic Front. You get the point? So, whether you are an independent member of parliament, you are not in opposition, you are in the ruling party, CDF by law will still reach you. Now you cannot say, I've failed to utilize the CDF properly because I'm in opposition. When I go to ruling party, this is when I'm going to do it. He's a liar. She's a liar. And those are the politicians that are supposed to be forsaken. Zambia's got a lot of potential people who can hold these positions. So these politicians should not just be playing with people's minds. That is wrong. So yes, you have the constitutional right. I know some will argue with me to say I've got my constitutional right to belong to any, any political party or any groupings. Yes, but with the principles, not in a prostitution manner, but with the principles. You join to a certain group because of certain principles. That's what it should be. So we are saddened and we are asking those that are about to defect to go to a certain political groupings to reconsider their positions. Let's have morals in politics. Let's have morals. Even an opposition political leader is very, very important because they provide the checks and the balances. It's very, very important. It doesn't mean that you only become important when you are in the ruling party. These are the people that are just going there to settle for positions and not to provide the leadership. Our civic education to the people is that can we punish these politicians that do not have direction? Uhule politics wataka. Political prostitution. Okay? Where now we are seeing the same things that is happening, you say, in development, where the civil servant, when a senior civil servant is visiting them, they parade a person, say this and this. This is exactly what is doing in the politics. In the first place, a political party is formed under an ideology. A political party is formed under an ideology. If there's a political party that has got no ideology, these are the political parties that they should be deregistered.
But his tenure is coming to an end on that 13th August. So it's everyone's democratic right now to vive opposition, and it's everyone's right as citizens to choose who they want to vote for. Same for mayors, same for MPs, same for councillors and council chairpersons. Time is not our side. The urgency of the hour demands that we rise above divisions. This time demands that we rise above divisions, egos above egos, and historical misunderstandings, and come together as one formidable force. The Patriotic Front, the PF Farmers Alliance, remain committed to fostering genuine unity among opposition political parties, because we are fully aware that no single opposition party standing alone can unseat the ruling establishment. The time for unity, the time for collaboration is now, and it's not tomorrow. We have already taken decisive steps in this direction on my part as Mao Sampa and the people that are here. Our engagement with fellow opposition leaders has begun in earnest. We've begun running, not walking, including a fruitful and progressive meeting with Citizen First CF President Mr. Ari Kalaba. He was here at home yesterday. This is only the beginning. We had lunch. We discussed, we already told ourselves, he used to text me, call me, let's meet, and I would not be available, but yesterday I called him myself, my brother, let's meet, and he came. We promised ourselves to break bread. They say you are not colleagues or brothers renewed if you don't eat a meal together. So yesterday we had lunch together, we had Diwali together, and this morning we called and he said he wants to revenge, to put it in his own way, that he wants to revenge that I go to his house and have a meal there. So it starts from there. And I'm willing and I want to do that to any other opposition leaders, that we have a rapport. That's the beginning point. This is only the beginning. We extend an open hand to all opposition leaders to join us in building a united front that reflects the aspirations of the Zambian people. Let it be clear, unity is not a sign of weakness. It is demonstration of maturity, responsibility, and commitment to national interests, where you put others and the country first and yourself second. That's where I am now. Anything I do, you'll see that I'm not putting myself first. That's what comes with gray hair. Before, you just want to be you and nobody. But now I'm doing everything for everyone that is in the opposition and for the sake of the nation. Let me now address the legal state now to vive opposition, and it's everyone's right as citizens to choose who they want to vote for. Same for mayors, same for MPs, same for councillors and council chairpersons. Time is not our side. The urgency of the hour demands that we rise above divisions. This time demands that we rise above divisions, egos above egos, and historical misunderstanding of our party, the Patriotic Front, and recent court developments. We acknowledge the recent court rulings that have brought clarity to the legal standing of the Patriotic Front. These decisions, rendered under immense pressure, reaffirms the resilience of our democratic institutions. It's been a long time coming. I've spent the last 3 years, if not 4 years, in and out of court nearly every day, pursuing justice, in particular on matters to do with the PF. We extend our sincere gratitude to the judiciary, in particular Judge Concepta Chinyana Zulu, for upholding justice and delivering a final verdict guided by the rule of law. And most people have confessed that the ruling is solid and objective and is watertight and it was premised on the rule of law. This outcome strengthens our belief that despite challenges, the judiciary remains the cornerstone of our democracy. For avoidance of doubt, the ruling on the 27th March this year, last month, effectively stated that I, Miles Waliasampa, is the legal president of the Patriotic Front.
Good day and welcome to today's program. Today, the 2nd of April, Thursday, 2nd of April 2026. We continue with the major topic, barriers to a free, fair elections. We have asserted on this program that the Patriotic Front risk not having, the country, we'll come to the Patriotic Front. The country, the threats we are seeing may not have a democratic, may not have a transparent, may not have a credible, may not have a peaceful, free and fair elections. Looking at the issues preceding the elections, the heightened mingalato, as pronounced by my dear brother Cornelius Mwetwa, who's chief government spokesperson, who announced to the nation that their mingalato will not be like what we've seen so far. There will be high-grade mingalato. I guess it's high-grade uvupuwa. Like Xavier, my dear brother, Honorable Xavier Chimba says, it's high-grade uvupuwa when you are playing with fire, when you are playing with the state of our country. But let's start, before I go to that particular matter, that will be a standing matter, and I'll be giving you updates again and again. There have been developments in the Patriotic Front. So share the broadcast quickly. Share. Let's reach as many people as possible. Quickly share. I'll start with the issues and giving you an update of what's happening in the Patriotic Front. Chairperson for elections issued a statement on behalf of the national chairperson, Honorable Jean Kapatan, on behalf of the Independent Electoral Commission that conducted elections in the Patriotic Front, recent elections that took place in the Patriotic Front. There's a statement I'll speak to. Honorable Miles Sampa, our dear brother, Matero MP, speaking to the legal status of the PF, has also issued a statement. And my inbox, phone calls has been inundated. Ambassador, what does this mean? Those are the two issues we are discussing. Share the broadcast quickly. Share. Let's have as many people joining us as possible. We'll still discuss the issues in the UPND and their new party president there. But primarily, it is these big issues that we are tackling. The threats to holding of free and fair elections, the barriers that we have seen, and the intricacies, the high-grade imingalato. Xavier Chishimba says high-grade uvupuwa, and we need to expose this. And then what's happening in the Patriotic Front? What are all these statements? Chavinga, Malsampa, Makebizulu, where is the status of all this? So share the broadcast quickly. Share, hit share button, and let's begin. Let me just play this, our usual interlude, and when I come on the other side, we hit the ground, and the phone lines will be open for you to contribute.
We want change! We want change! We want change! We want change! We want a change!
The sound magician. Wi-Fi on the beat, boy.
Twakupele voting atawa bomba Twakupele voting atawa bomba Tawali mone voting atawa bomba Tawali mone voting atawa bomba Pantuno mwaka Kuya bebele Twanakane mwe Mwachila mobufi Kuya bebele Twabonele numa Kuya bebele Mwachila mobufi Mwalitula ile ona lebwati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo wali mipele ne voti ati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo nimwewo mwatile mukesa tukulira ne chipatala ifwe nimwewo mwatile mukesa tukulira na masukulu kuno ukutula potwa misalila ifwe mwalitula baona lebo imisebwala yajonaika ichipatala takwaba kuno abana besu basambirira mufimuti fyamango bana mayo mapapira mungande chipatala takwaba kuno imisepila chose mbalofwa bapepa vyebange fama lelilo mufunda tawafika nembuto tashafika ukutula potwa misalila ifwe mwalitula baona lebo nomba lelo mwabwela imwe mulefwa yatumivotere tatwakupele voti ngata wabomba tatwakupele voti ngata wabomba tawalimone voti ngata wabomba tawalimone voti ngata wabomba pantuno mwaka kuya bebele
no mwaka kuya bebele ati tawalimone vote but tulekulile ndalama shilete but tulekulile ndalama but vote yena tawaimone. I love that song. There's no better civic education than to punish our politician, like the first video I played from Caritas Chipata, who said they've abused our trust, that the politicians have abused us, and you citizens have to be careful. Now you have to be smart. And that song typifies that will eat your money, but you have not worked and will not vote for you. So I love that song. Let's get to the business as you share the broadcast. Let's get to the business of the matter. The state of the Patriotic Front remains a cornerstone of our discussion. The Patriotic Front is the largest political party in our country. Everyone has asserted and has accepted that. It's even larger than the UPND. Despite the fierce recruitment drive the UPND has, it doesn't reach far and wide as the Patriotic Front. The Patriotic Front, for that reason, has received sustained assault to attempt to destroy it, to attempt to steal it, to attempt to kill it, to attempt to just bury it. And the PF refuses to go away. There have been attempts to dismember it. And we thank God for Michael Sata, who put a solid foundation for 10 years. Before he could assume power, he put a solid foundation. And what you see is that this is a foundation of a party that is rooted in the ground, built on rocks, not on sand. That's why it has refused to go away. That is why it remains attractive to every political player in our country. Everyone wants those structures. Everyone is eyeing and envying and wants those structures. President Hakainde Hichilema from day one wants those structures. He posts people that could bring it to him, and they didn't. He has engaged in all these activities to attempt to uproot the life of the Patriotic Front from the political scene. He has engaged on all sorts of mingalato. The PF still faces him in his battle. The biggest attempt happened on 24th October when Mao Sampa held that general conference. We termed it as illegal. We said it was held outside party structures. And Mao Sampa's own consent agreement with us accepted in that document that the conference was not legal, and it stood nullified, and you bring back the PF to its original owners. When Mao Sampa did that in 2024, 4 days later, President Edgar Lungu at the 10th anniversary ceremony of President Michael Sata came back and said, I think that was the 9th anniversary for the late President Michael Sata, said, I'm coming back into politics to rescue and restore the Patriotic Front and to restore democracy. Those were his words. And he says, I will abandon my role as a statesman. I will abandon my role as a former president. And I'll give up all the benefits and trappings and fringe benefits that come with that position to fight for the PF, that the PF is restored to its original honor. This is where we are. That battle has never been abandoned. We have not won it. We are still at it. During this intervening period, a key figure emerged in acting president, Given Lubinda, who steered the ship through these difficult times, through the poaching of MPs, poaching of party members, sustained attacks, attacks on the party. And what has been the structure from where President Edgar Lungu took over in 2023? Remember, he was in retirement. The vice president was Given Lubinda, who was acting president in the absence of the president. The secretary general was Raphael Nakachinda and remains Raphael Nakachinda. The deputy secretary general is Nixon Chilangwa and remains Nixon Chilangwa. During this period, because of what happened to both Honorable Raphael Nakachinda and Honorable Nixon Chilangwa, Honorable acting president Given Lubinda appointed two key officials. First, he appointed, remember, Brenda Nyurenda, and then he later appointed Honorable Mao Sampa as Deputy Secretary General to handle the politics, and Honorable Celestine Mukandila, Council Celestine Mukandila, as Deputy Secretary General Admin, because both Honorable Raphael Nakachinda, who's the Secretary General, and Honorable Nixon Chilangwa are in prison. They are incarcerated. Together with the PF, they've mounted this very expensive legal battle with the MPs, with the party structures, with the SG. They've mounted this legal structure. Legal cases have been numerous in courts to attempt to resolve this issue. We had breakthrough in 2024 when Mao Sampa abandoned his role that he had taken and came and reconciled with the late president. And we signed a consent agreement, took it to court, where we said, settled, we disregard the conference that took place in October 2023. And Mao Sampa was allowed to bring some of his members into our central committee. Mao Sampa himself, because he was the legal president, even signed the appointment of Raphael Nakachinda, who was earlier appointed by President Edgar Lungu. And he made changes at Parliament and wrote to the registrar. Those decisions have never been implemented, the decision regarding Parliament and the registrar of society. Then what happened? On 27th March, there was a major conclusion of this matter. First, a week before, the case in which Morgan Ingona, who was challenging his dismissal, because when Mao Sampa reconciled with us, he recognized the Secretary General of Raphael Nakachinda and wrote a letter to that effect. So he removed Morgan Ingona and all the decision made by Morgan Ingona. Morgan Ingona took this matter to court. For 2 years, Morgan Ingona failed to prosecute that case. Judge Concepta Zulu Chinyanwa then throughout that case, dismissed it for want of prosecution, that Morgan Ingona had failed to prosecute that case of his removal. A week later, she ruled that in her view, the party she dealt now with a major issue was the General Conference, the Extraordinary General Conference that took place on 24th October 2023 by Mao Sampa. Legit, legal, lawful. She asserted that it was legal, lawful, and made that interpretation. Before that, you backtrack a bit. At a period to determine the consent judgment, Morgan Ingona and Robert Chawinga joined the case. They said, we are interested parties. You know, a week later, after Mao Sampa removed us, we held a Central Committee meeting and we removed him. So we also need to be heard. We are part of this process. So now we had a set of defendants, Raphael Nakachinda, and the 8 MPs led by Brian Munduvile, Mutotwe Kafuaya, Mlenga Fube, Christopher Kangombe, and the others on one side. And on this side, we had Mao Sampa, Morgan Ingona, and Robert Chawinga. So when the judge ruled, the benefits went to the 3, Miles Sampa, Robert Chavinga, and Morgan Ngona, and they are fighting already of who is the legitimate president of that PF, whether it's Morgan Ngona, whether it is Robert Chavinga or Miles Sampa. Miles Sampa is asserting that, look, I removed you before you held that central committee to remove me. I struck first. I struck blood first. 2, the court has agreed with me that your removal is valid because you have failed to defend yourself in court. So I am the PF president. Robert Chavinga, on the other side, is claiming that we fired Miles Sampa, and therefore this judgment benefits us. So there's that legal tussle between them that will be resolved. Morgan Ngona, on his part, went to 2 other courts. Remember, there's a matter in court where he restrained the PF from holding a general conference and any party activities. And then he has gone to the Court of Appeal to stop the judgment of Judge Concepta Zulu, that judgment has disadvantaged him. So he has obtained an injunction, a restraining order against Miles Sampa, and to allow him to continue to act and hold himself as Secretary General of the Patriotic Front. So what's the legal status? The legal status is that Miles Sampa is president, Morgan Ngona is Secretary General legally as a result of those 2 court cases. On the other side, there's Robert Chavinga, who's claiming that no, we fired Miles Sampa. But look, in the legal status of things is Miles Sampa and Morgan Ngona are Secretary General according to the current legal status. What is the position of that group that ECL led says they will restore, we will fight until the PF is restored? You saw my dear brother Miles Sampa praise the judge, praise the judiciary. We hold a contrary view. We've written numerous letters to that judiciary that they've been part of the process. They've been part of the process to just let me take just a brief call in case there's something very urgent. I'll get back to you just now. Please don't go away.
Bombera nota bakwisa kuno omukuzembereka mukutwibira mano nga twabavotera abaya nangu mwatupele ndalama tulepo katatwa mivotere nidonchi kubeba wapoka walya
nidonchi kubeba wapoka walya. That's a story and name of the game. Our parties, that donchi kubeba thing promoted by the late President Michael Sata really was one of the best education that, look, get. Besides, it's your money. It doesn't matter how far it comes. It's in the end, it's your money. They've either stolen it from road contracts, they've stolen it from maize, they've stolen it from exports of this and that. It's your money. Eat it. Honorable His Excellency President Michael Sata was very clear. Don't you kubeba. Get it. So what has happened to us here? The legal status is Miles Sampa is president or Morgan Chavinga, but I think the current legal status favors Miles Sampa. But Morgan Ngona is also asserting himself as Secretary General and has gotten an injunction to that effect to function as Secretary General. He can write letters that can be validated by authorities because he has a protection of the Court of Appeal. Here, the group that's led by Vice President Given Rubinda. These have been the developments. Today, there was an independent electoral commission appointed to run the General Congress. You are all aware that we paid for nomination fees in 2022, expression of interest of 200,000 kwacha. Last month, 7 of the 13 proceeded to pay actual nomination fees. 7 of them. They paid another 50,000 kwacha. They also paid another 10,000 kwacha for the delegates list. The 7 participated in an election that saw Makebi Zulu emerge as president of the Patriotic Front. Many people are saying, don't call it the Patriotic Front. We are Patriotic Front. We've been fighting from day one. We have never been called any other. All activities we do them as Patriotic Front. We march on Women's Day as Patriotic Front. We march on Youth Day as Patriotic Front. We march on Independence Day as Patriotic Front. We go to events as Patriotic Front. We were mourning the late president as Patriotic Front. We held a funeral at the party secretariat and everyone came, including diplomats, as Patriotic Front. All activities that Given Lubinda and the Central Committee have been doing them in the name of the Patriotic Front. We are aware of all these legal tussles, legal threats of contempt. We are aware. We have never called ourselves any other name other than that we are Patriotic Front. And we are the legitimate holders from Michael Sata to Edgar Lungu, and now it was to Given Lubinda, who held this election. And the Independent Electoral Commission, and the National Chairperson, and the Chairperson for Elections. National Chairperson is Honorable Jean Kapata. The Chairperson for Elections is Dr. Frankie Ngambe. They've issued a statement. They gave me the details and I issued the statement that the election of Makebi Zulu was valid. Why are they issuing the second statement? It's a final and exit statement because in the intervening period, there was a challenge when Makebi Zulu was challenged. His fellow contenders raised objection. They raised issues of malpractice. They had 16 points and deposited their complaints with the National Chairperson. Today, we're being informed by the National Chairperson that they've looked, they record all the ballots that went to the districts. They also record the Gen 20. This was a summary document where where all the delegates were signing. And they've looked at the complaints and they've asserted from today that Makebi Zulu was validly elected. That's a group that was left by Michael Sata. It went to Edgar Lungu. It remained with acting president Given Lubinda. And now it elected Makebi Zulu as president. And they asserted that the candidates that participated in this election, who also petitioned the National Chairperson, are free to go and inspect the records of the tallies, because there was a serious security issue. They were all serialized, and they've said you can come and verify who voted from where and what the results were for inspection. So that settles who heads this group that has been headed by Edgar Lungu, by Given Lubinda, is now being headed, that entire group, by Makebi Zulu. Why was this statement important is that Makebi Zulu's challengers, 7 of them, of the 7, 5 challenged his election. They put up a joint statement. In fact, one of the candidates said he was also going to put up a singular complaint, but he didn't in the end. So the Electoral Commission that conducted this election under the Chairperson for Elections and under the submission of that complaint to the Chairperson of the party have handled that matter, and they've settled, and they've come to an inescapable conclusion that Makebi Zulu was elected as party president. So what does this mean with then Malsamba today coming out and saying, I am party president, I am the legal party president, and I'll recognize, the structure left by ECL. Again, that becomes a bit dangerous because there has been an election. The vice president who was acting president has now been replaced by Makebi Zulu. It also is a threat to the election of Makebi Zulu because it amounted to nullifying that election. Legally, what is supposed to happen? I don't know what the party would decide, but we have very strong views against that judgment. Number one, the judgment assessed that there was no central committee. Come on. Who can allow that legal folly? There was a central committee. President Edgar Lungu didn't resign. He resigned. The central committee refused. But Mukupangon as chairperson resigned. Davis Mwila, Secretary General, resigned. Honorable Inonge Wina resigned. President Edgar Lungu's first action was to replace Wo Inonge Winner with Given Lubinda, who was member of the Central Committee. He was now replaced. He became vice president of the party. And because the president went on leave, he became acting president of the party. The resignation of Morgan Ingona, not Morgan Ingona, Wa Mukupa, I know him as Samuel Mukupa, used to be MP in Nsama district, but now he uses his traditional name. Mukupa Ngona, the chairperson, was replaced by the former defense minister, Davis Chama. The vice president became Wo Given Lubinda. And the Secretary General, Davis Mwila, had resigned. Nixon Chilangwa was appointed as Deputy Secretary General and began to act as Secretary General. Later, there was an appointment of Raphael Nakachinda, and Honorable Nixon Chilangwa reverted to his position of Secretary General. And then we had these two acting because of the status and current circumstance under which our two Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General find themselves in, which is that they are incarcerated, and Honorable Given Lubinda appointed Councillor Celestine Mkandila to deal with the administrative part of the Secretariat, and Honorable Mal Sampa is the current Deputy Secretary General of the party in charge of politics. So the pronouncements today have unsettled a lot of people. Legally, they may be correct, but legitimately they are not. The legitimate president of the Patriotic Front is Makebi Zulu. The legal president is Mal Sampa. How do you resolve that? One, two ways. Legally, the PF, I don't know what they will decide. They might appeal that decision because that judgment is flagrant. It is creating a very dangerous precedent. The rise of a new president in the UPND is as a result of that judgment, because the UPND officials are setting very strongly that President Hakainde Hichilema's term with his National Management Committee expired. So there is Longwe, who wants Charles Longwe, who wants the Central Committee to take over. Who wants the National Management Committee, who wants the court to appoint an independent committee, totally independent, to run the UPND until they can have elections. And he says they may not even participate in these elections as UPND because there is no time according to their party structures. They need to give 30 days notice, then they need to hold elections from down what they call polling management committees right up to the top, to the president. They have a calendar that is stipulated in the constitution, and they think that the UPND, it may not be possible for them to hold this convention to beat the electoral calendar. If the UPND participates in the 2026 elections, they will be participating in this election as an illegal society. They might even be accepted by ECZ, but they will create a window in which their participation can be challenged because they are an illegal organization at the moment, because they are legal, but they don't have a president and a National Management Committee. That is what Charles Longwe is battling with in their case. So in our case, legally, the PF is supposed to appeal this judgment because it offends many issues. And the assertions it has made, fallacious assertions on false ground, on facts that are heavily contested. So it needs to be appealed to. Legitimately is that Makebi Zulu, and who's the legitimate president, and Mao Sampa, who's the legal president, can sit and begin to resolve this issue. But remember, there is Morgan Ingona, who's Secretary General, who's hostile to both Makebi Zulu and Mao Sampa. He remains a danger. At the moment, the final destination of the legal PF may not necessarily lie with Mao Sampa, because we don't know what the Court of Appeal will rule about Morgan Ingona. We don't know what they will rule on the challenge being claimed by Charles, by Mafinga MP, Robert Chabinga, where he claims, no, we've had Mao Sampa. But so this is the two scenarios: the legitimate president of the Patriotic Front after today's ruling by the Electoral Commission and the chairperson of elections and the chairperson of the party is that Makebi Zulu is a legitimate president of that Patriotic Front that has existed without legal status since 2023. According to the courts of law, Mao Sampa is a legal president with a Secretary General who has a court order, Morgan Ngona, on the other side. There is nothing Mao Sampa can do. He can't remove Morgan Ngona at the moment because he's being protected by the courts of law. So I think that explanation must help, that there are legal issues that have to be done and there are legitimate issues that have to be done. Meaning, some things require that they talk, okay? Especially that Mao Sampa is in the legitimate PF where Makebi Zulu is president. Mao Sampa holds the position of Deputy Secretary General. In the legal status where Mao Sampa is president and Morgan Ngona is Secretary General, at least you can say Mao Sampa is with us. But to protect the party, because eventually you can't know Ishimingalato. What if one day they say Morgan Ngona was validly elected and the dismissal of Mao Sampa was valid? It means the final station of that Patriotic Front will be with Robert Chavinga and Morgan Ngona. And we know that is the intention, the clear intention of President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND is that the final station of the UPND should rest with Robert Chavinga and Morgan Ngona. To praise the judiciary awe in Enakana, this judiciary, we've written letters. Remember that even Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu said the US should put sanctions on various people, including Chief Justice Mumba Malila, for their participation in this fight, where they became a lapdog of State House, that they allowed, the destruction of the rule of law and democracy. So this judiciary has been the worst, and these issues have been echoed by the actual letters we've written. Brebna Changala has written those letters. John Sango has written those letters. Institutions and human rights organizations across the world have cited this judiciary as eroded and participating in the autocracy of President Hakainde Hichilema. For me, we remain with strong words against that judiciary until there is proper conduct. It's supposed to be the bastion of justice. It's supposed to be a place where we ought seek refuge. It's supposed to be an institution that settles all dispute. In fact, it's been promoting disputes. It's been an organization that has been the biggest letdown, because every time in every state, the last institution to crumble should be the judiciary. Everything else can fall, but the judiciary should remain standing. In our case, it has run with the executive to destroy democracy, rule of law, and help establish this autocracy. That is one limb. Then we have our usual matter. The usual matter is, remember we discussed independents, how they may not participate in elections. Remember, just a minute, let me just look at this quickly. Let me just look at this as we take the next limb that we are discussing. So we now understand that ECZ and the Registrar of Societies will play a very key role. You have to recognize a letter that was written by ECZ on January 30th that has warned that to avoid what they called chaos, the certification of candidates participating in the elections will require that they obtain or present certification from the Registrar of Societies. This letter was written on 31st January by Brown Kasaro, Executive Director. He said the Electoral Commission of Zambia has noted an increasing number of political parties and alliances as well as factions. Underline that word, factions. The PF has 3 factions. You can see Makebi Zulu president, you can see Mao Sampa president, you can see Robert Chavinga president. Brown Kasaro says, we wish to advise all political players that we only accept nomination of papers of presidential candidates whose names are duly registered with the Registrar of Societies. So, the Lugwalo that Robert Chavinga keeps on boasting about, you are not appearing there, is, Brown Kasaro says they will not accept that issue. And he says, to avoid chaos on who are the real owners of particular political parties, we advise all aspirants to the position of president that they should obtain certification from the Registrar of Societies on time and submit such together with all requirements in line with the Electoral Act to avoid inconvenience and to avoid their nominations to be rejected, that their nomination papers should be rejected. So this leaves a window to independence. Many people have been saying, we will not stand on a political party. We've been deplatformed. Look at what has happened to National Congress Party. We thank God that Pastor Peter Chanda has obtained a court order restraining Daniel Nyati and others that took over the party. But look at Zambia We Want. They won an election. There was a new leadership. And the interim holders of that political parties have refused to amend the records. And recently we saw the dismissal of the 3 key officials at the Zambia We Want. We've seen the same confusion as visited FDD, where they held an election and they elected Dr. Chifumu Banda as president, but they put up a serious clause that when in alliance, when they have a candidate, they will sponsor such a candidate to their election, meaning Brand Mundwile, who they have picked. The Registrar of Societies to date have refused to accept those minutes and that conference, and we understand that they are calling it illegal. Just look what is happening at NDC. Sawai Mboila, displaced, deplatformed, even taken to the police, and they are alleging that she signed an adoption certificate, and this is contrary to the Electoral Process Act because she's not on the register. The issues go on. Look at our dear brother, Dr. Sebastian Copeland. He took a very strong letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly and stated that her conduct, dancing after Bill 7 passed, was a misconduct and she should resign or be fired. And he wrote that letter to SADC and Commonwealth Secretariat Parliamentary Forums. Nelly Muti was totally embarrassed. All of a sudden, they came heavy on Dr. Sebastian Copeland. One weekend, there was a general conference that was held, an extraordinary general conference that was held, and displaced and removed Dr. Sebastian Copeland. The matters are in court like that of Peter Chanda. You know the story of the PF. So what is happening with the independents? Remember that among the independents, there are those qualifications, I think in Article, is it 47, some definitions in Article 60, Article 70, that defines qualifications for parliamentarians and others, and Article 100, that's exclusive to the presidential candidate. Here are some of the provisions. Number one, that the candidate should be a citizen by birth or descent. When you are registering a political party, they do not give you the office bearers because the Registrar of Societies have to submit your fingerprints and your NRC, and they put it to the system, which goes to verify that you are a citizen by birth or descent, especially for the president or presidential candidate. The second one is you must have been ordinarily resident in Zambia. I don't know what the Electoral Process Act says, but the previous constitution put a period of 20 years. You must have lived consistently in Zambia for 20 years. You are at least 35 years and above. Positive discrimination. The law assumes that if you are below the age of 35, you can't be president. You are not mature enough to handle that office. That's the assumption by the law. Remember, even for an office like the Auditor General, you have to be 45. It doesn't matter how much you are qualified. You have to be 45 to qualify to be the Auditor General. And then you can't be older than 60 because the demands of that office is extremely intense, but also requires a maturity of a calm mind. You must have obtained minimum qualifications of grade 12 certificate or its equivalent. This is now is practice. We saw it in 2016. It has been tested both in courts of law. It has been tested everywhere. This one is now simple. All you need is you go to Zambia Qualification Authority. You must be fluent in the official language. I guess this is ignored because some presidential candidates are not even fluent in English. So this is, I think everyone looks away. Look, if sungu fyaishire na bene, so everyone looks away. But the intention of the law is that the holder of the office of the president must be clear, concise. He must be a speaker who's fluent in the official language, which is English. Bambita baishibe that there's this demand, especially for progressives like those that will see parliaments like in South Africa, where people speak native language. Up to 11 native languages are part of the official language. But if the presidential candidate must be fluent in the official language in English. So candidate you can actually petition the High Court and says he's not qualified to run the country. That he has paid taxes and has made arrangement satisfactory to the appropriate tax authorities, and the payment of taxes, levies, rates, you must show proof that you've paid. If you're a presidential candidate, clear all these taxes and obtain a certification. You should declare your assets and liabilities as prescribed by the law. You must pay the prescribed election fee before the date of the fixed or delivery of nomination fees, and that you are supported by 100 registered voters from each province. Let me make a clarification. I've been saying this process begins on the 15th. Apparently, it looks like it doesn't end on the 15th. It begins on 15th of April. So there could be a window. I'm trying to get the original calendar that was issued by ECZ so that I can look at it. But we thought it was just one day. It looks like it may not necessarily be one day, but the process begins on 15th April. Then there are other qualifications. The ones that disqualifies you because they are part of the qualifications. They are disqualifications, automatic disqualifications. Number one, if you are a public officer and you have dual citizenship. This is very key. How do they ascertain that you have dual citizenship? When I lived in South Africa, I found a lot of Zambians who are also South Africans. But before we went into dual citizenship, the law requires that by getting another citizenship, you needed to renounce the Zambian citizenship. And in many cases, many people who live in the diaspora just keep quiet on that matter, but they obtained new citizenship. So a presidential candidate requires that they test that issue of dual citizenship. You cannot be a president if you hold dual citizenship. In the Constitution, dual citizenship is now allowed. You can be an MP, you can be a mayor, you can be a minister, but you cannot be president if you hold dual citizenship. If you are holding a constitutional office or public office, this is very clear. If you are a judge or a judicial officer, this matter is very important and very dangerous. If you have been removed from public office on grounds of gross misconduct in the immediate preceding 5 years, this is very dangerous, because if you are fired from civil service in the last 5 years, or in a public office where you were maybe a managing director of a state-owned enterprise, in public office, state agencies, provinces, and government, this clause is extremely dangerous. It says if you've been fired for gross misconduct, not even crime or anything, gross misconduct in the last 5 years, you cannot participate as president. I don't know if many people know about this clause. If you have a mental or physical disability that would make the person incapable of performing the executive functions, this particular clause, I found it discriminatory to persons with physical disability. But it appears if you are a person with disability, you may not be a president of our country. So for people that discuss public issues, it's very important, extremely important, that we begin to repeal and amend some of these provisions, because it appears mental, yes, but physical disability for me, one of famous presidents in the US who ran the war, the Second World War, was affected by polio and was on wheelchair. And of course, the nation didn't know, because his mind was very alert. He would address what they would call firesides. And every time he appeared before cameras, there was a pact between them and the media. They would only show the president up because he was always in a wheelchair. And people didn't know that he was in a wheelchair. But he's one of the best presidents in the US. So, but there is a provision: if you have a mental or physical disability, that would make you fail to execute functions of the president. You have an undischarged bankrupt. So if you were declared bankrupt by a court of law, you cannot be president. You have to discharge it and demonstrate that you've cleared the bankruptcy issue. That you have served a sentence of imprisonment or in the last 5 years, that you have served a sentence of imprisonment. This clause is also very dangerous. The previous clause said, I think it says, if you've served a sentence of 6 months and more. But this one just says, if you are serving a sentence or you have served a sentence in imprisonment. So it looks like you can be in prison for 1 day and you can be in prison sentenced for 5 years. It's the same thing. If you've been, in the last 5 years, if you've been imprisoned. And this one now is a qualification. If you've served a term of imprisonment of at least 3 years, okay, that's better. It's now 3 years, okay, that's better. I feared, because the preceding one says if you are serving or you have served the last 5 years, but there's a qualification that you must have served at least 3 years in prison. Where is the danger for independent candidates? ECZ is going to collect, even on the 15th, they'll collect your nominations, no problem. They will accept your nominations, no problem. They will not accept, but they will receive. That is the word. They will receive the applications. Then they will tell you that we need to clear. Have you been declared bankrupt? Are you a Zambian national? Have you served any crime in the last 5 years? Do you live in Zambia as prescribed by the Electoral Process Act? They will say all those things. You as independents, we have not had an opportunity to clear you. Our political parties, they are registered with the Registrar of Societies. They were already cleared, but you are not on the register. We need to clear you. And that is where we understand that high-grade Mingalato will be played, because they'll send these things to the intelligence. The intelligence will say we need 30 days to file kumushkumwa kwetu ayamona infumu to aishiba to they need 30 days. The Zambia police says to clear your fingerprints they need 21 days. Bankruptcy researchers to go into courts to establish that you've never had, there was an issue of when our elder brother Panji Kaunda was appointed as High Commissioner. All of a sudden an old case came up that he was not eligible to go as High Commissioner, in 2021 when he was appointed as High Commissioner to Malawi. And they said because he was declared bankrupt by a court of law. But at least here, it says undischarged bankrupts. So did, for example, Panji Kaunda discharge his bankruptcy before taking up that office? So all these things, we understand they will use the time to prevent the independent candidates from participating in the elections. Why are we talking about this? Apatule komaila, civil society, where you begin to lobby. Compel ECZ, for example, to issue a declaration that all those intending to stand as presidents, they can pre-collect the documents now and clear them before nominations happens in May. That process can be done now, but it's how an alert citizenry and an alert civil society can play. The church, you need to recognize that there are these dangers that we've come across. Challenge ECZ. For example, can they pre-clear the independents Because first you have closed the role of political parties. You are undermining political parties. You are deplatforming people. So the window for people to participate is a window of independence. Why are you shutting down that door? The lines are open. We're discussing two things: the issues of the PF, the legal president and legitimate president. How do we resolve that issue? And the issue of Imingalato as we go to elections. The issue I've been worried about is that there's a window in which independent candidates can participate in the elections, but there seems to be very serious schemes. And remember, the proposed amendments in the Electoral Process Bill of 2026 says only a document, an adoption certificate signed by the Secretary General will be accepted by ECZ. That same Secretary General, who Levi Ngoma has targeted, who Levi Ngoma is abusing to rise against political leadership. So we have to discuss this issue. Why should we discuss it? Because Zambia is a democracy. Zambia is a democratic state. We sweated, we shed blood in 1964 to get our independence, political independence. We fought for our democracy in 1991. We are a democratic state. What President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to do is to regress us to pre-independence. That is why there's been a campaign that this election will be Independence 2.0, because all systems have crumbled, all systems have been hijacked. You don't even know which one is a court of law or which is a court of a kangaroo. So we have to reclaim our country. So we have to talk about it. Zambia has an obligation to its citizen, to itself, to hold democratic, credible, transparent, peaceful, free and fair elections. It's a duty of any democratic state. We cannot allow our credentials to be thrown away by someone who's just desperate to obtain a second term, that is throwing the water together, the bathwater together with the baby. No, it should not be. But it's only you, an active citizenry, that can rescue the country. The lines are open, and let's talk.
We want change! We want change! We want change! We want change! We want a change!
The sound magician. Wi-Fi on the beat, boy.
Twakupele voting atawa bomba Twakupele voting atawa bomba Tawali mone voting atawa bomba Tawali mone voting atawa bomba Pantuno mwaka kuya bebele Twanakane mwe mwachila mobufi kuya bebele Twamwanele numa kuya bebele mwachila mobufi Mwalitula ile ona lebwati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo Twali mipele nevoti ati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo Nimwewo mwachile mukesa tukulila nechipatala ifwe Nimwewo mwachile mukesa tukulila na masukulu kuno Ukutula potwa misalila ifwe Mwalitula baona lebo Imisebo ala yagona ika Ichipatala takwaba kuno Abana besu basambilila mufi mutifya mango Bana mayo mapapila mungande Zipatala takwaba kuno Imisepila chose malofwa Bapepa pyebange.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name. Switch off the background music. Hello. Switch off the background music. Hello, caller. Switch off the background music.
Hello?
Yes, make your contribution.
Hello?
You are on. Make your contributions. We have two topics here: issues of the PF and issues of holding of free and fair elections in Zambia.
Yes. The first contribution I want to make, as PF, have you been humble enough to apologize to the Zambian people of what you put them through? Have we done that? Because once you come out on air and try, to be like angels, the first thing that you should do is to apologize to the Zambian people what you subjected them to. Second point, what are you going to do for the Zambian people? Okay? For instance, the policies that have been introduced by the current government, by the way, I'm not a member of the current government. The policies that have been introduced, what are your alternatives? Those are the things that we want to know. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's our first caller. My answer is, at the first memorial for President Michael Sat after we lost power, President Edgar Lungu apologized to Zambians for the thuggery, political violence, and anything that the party could have done wrong. He did that. And subsequently, even when I filed in, when I began the process of participating in the presidential candidate in 2022, I also personally apologized for whatever the PF could have done. I was away for 8 years, but I said, whatever it is that the PF did, I apologized. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Line is cut. Please call, please call. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and tell us your contributions.
Good evening, Ambassador. I'm calling you from Kitwe.
Yes, my dear brother, make your contributions.
Ambassador, see where we at as a country, what I've observed is as a country we lack patriotism. Charo chesu charifika para stage apa kwebati abantu batontonkanya afi what is their personal benefit. But as a country, for us to move forward, to develop this country, to take this country to the next level, we need to be patriotic. Before anything, politics and other things, we are Zambians. So we need to put this country before our personal benefits. So what I've observed is a lot of our leaders, they lack patriotism. When we talk of democracy is not a one-party state. It means divergent views. We need to have different opinions. So we need to reach a stage where we are all patriotic to this country, where people should be allowed to speak their minds. If you look at, I'll give a simple example of what is happening to our children, at Hunza. They elected a leadership which was not speaking for the masses, decided to speak for themselves. But when you are patriotic, you speak for your country, for your institution, the benefit, not personal benefit. So, Mwamba, where we are going, we need to be patriotic. When we talk of PF, let people be patriotic. Put the interest of the party, put the interest of the country before self-interest. That is the only way we are going to develop. But if you put your personal interest, trust me, we're not going to go anywhere as a country. Thank you very much, Mwamba.
Thank you. I agree with you. The UNZA issue is coming as a debate probably tomorrow. It is something that is extremely troubling. It might come tomorrow. What's happening at the University of Zambia? I'm surprised that no action has taken place so far other than just the release of funding. What about the loss of life? Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
Good morning, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good day, my dear brother.
This is Isaac Mwanza.
Isaac, how are you, my dear brother?
I'm good. We miss you here.
I can give you time. You wrote a nice piece. You traced the history of the PF, and there was confusion. Who's PF president? Who is what? And I liked your piece. Probably summarize your thoughts.
Okay, first I want to just comment on the issue of that letter from the alleged letter from the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
Yes.
That you had actually read, and I've seen it circulate in public domain.
Yes.
But when I've checked on the ECZ website or social media page, I don't find that letter. And I think that we should approach it with caution.
We can go, Isaac.
Misinformation.
Isaac. You and I deal with facts.
Yes.
Probably deal with then the bill,
yes.
the proposed bill, the electoral process bill of 2026. It has raised concerns even in there. Maybe you can stick to that issue, because at this stage, I don't know why ECZ could have taken 4 months to disavow that letter, because that letter, like you are saying, has been there, and it is now assumed that it is a letter from ECZ. But if there is contest about its validity, let's go to the bill which is in public domain and is in Parliament.
Yes, the bill, when it comes to the bill, I have seen the first draft bill which was released by the Commission.
Yeah.
And that bill was objected by various stakeholders,
yes.
including civil society organizations. Now, there is a second bill which went to cabinet for validation after the feedback that was given by various stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that stakeholders, most of us were there in the group when it was being discussed before it was sent to cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
What I am happy with, for instance, Ambassador Mwamba, is that the issue of the campaign period being left to ECZ, I think in the second draft. Hello?
Yes, you are on, my brother, you are on. Continue. Now, I need to call back Isaac. He's a very important stakeholder. Isaac, just give me a moment. I call you back. His line has dropped. Let me, which number was he using? Yeah, okay. I have found callers who are using this number. Just give me a moment. I want to call back Isaac. I think we deserve to hear from him. Isaac Mwanza is a prolific commentator of public and legal issues. He's not a lawyer, but he has raised more petitions before the Constitutional Court and Peter Sinkamba than any other people I know. So I value his views. Let me just see if I can call him back, because his line has dropped. It could be network. Call us just a minute. Give me a small delay so that we can hear from Isaac. And Isaac has proposed a cautionary issue that the letter that I read, he thinks it may not be valid, but I wonder why ECZ has not denounced this letter from January to date. It's almost 3 months. So I have taken it for granted that it's a genuine letter, because ECZ has never disowned it. But however, the same facts are contested, are provided for in the bill, the electoral process bill of 2026, which Isaac is asserting that was withdrawn for clarification. So let me see, callers, just wait. Let's listen to Mr. Isaac. I'm calling back. You got cut. Ambassador. You got cut, and I took it upon myself to call you back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think it's a network here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was discussing the bill that there are certain things that members of the public and stakeholders had opposed for amendment in the Electoral Process Act. One of them is the issue of the campaign period. And from the revised bill, which was sent to cabinet, to a committee in cabinet, that bill was brought to the stakeholders to look at the second draft. And what we have noticed, for instance, is that the official campaign period will remain in the Constitution, but it has been redrafted in the manner that civil society had proposed, to say the campaign period will run after the close of nominations, but a day before an election. That has brought out predictability of the process. The issue of the official mark as well was opposed by various stakeholders. And the bill that has been sent, which was discussed, the second bill, which was discussed, it has maintained the official mark on the ballot, the stamp that has to be put there. There are, of course, certain one or two things that we'll try and deal with at the committee stage when it goes into Parliament this month for us to try and clean it up. But I think that we need to say in clear terms that it's the first time we are seeing a bill being brought, especially the electoral process bill, being brought to the public to say, here is a draft bill, can you make some comments? Before it is taken to cabinet position, again, the government comes back, here is a bill, can you look at it and come back? And I think on that, they deserve some kudos.
No,
now,
the bill, Isaac, to my knowledge, it was not published by government. It came as a leakage. Then government began to confirm it and then said they were listening to stakeholders. I don't think they published it or gazetted it, no.
Which one is that?
The electoral process bill of 2026, the electoral proposed bill.
No. We're at Mulungushi, where that bill was actually released to the public. All the members, there was Antonio Manza, there was a PF Mkandila, the Deputy Secretary General even spoke during that period. So it was actually released to the public. It was not like it was a leakage.
Okay.
So it was released to us, and yes.
And since
so
you
I
seem
needed
to have
to
seen
clarify that. And even the second bill.
Yeah, just a minute.
The second bill.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Just a minute. The political parties were worried about the personalization of the office of the Secretary General. There was that proposal that Electoral Commission will only accept Secretary Generals that are registered at ECZ. And the concern there was that, what if we fire today, before we go into nominations, we fire our SG for misconduct, but there is no time to administratively for the registrar of societies to amend those records. It was deemed as a threat. Has that particular clause been attended to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, I think it has been attended to. It was not just the political parties that were worried with that. You saw the position by a group of civil society organizations on that issue, to say that even when you register the registrar of society, you don't register a secretary general. There are political parties such as MMD, they never had a secretary general. They had a national secretary, which is equivalent to a secretary general. So there was that ambiguity that we were trying to battle with. But now, how it has been attended, for instance, in the revised, how the government has listened to that opposition, is that they are saying either the president or the secretary general can sign the adoption certificate. So that is the way it has been attended to. We can debate that when now it gets final into cabinet. But for the validation of what was done in the first, what was the opposition, and what has been carried forward to cabinet, we were in that meeting, on the online meeting when the validation was happening. And I think that's why we are saying, let's see what bill finally now gets to Parliament. But in the revised, I think that they did a good job.
Isaac, before you leave, let me indulge you. The main thrusts that have been pushing are these threats on independent candidates. First, number one, are independent candidates allowed to stand as presidents? Number one. Number two, we understand that the authorities may use administrative hurdles as reasons to bar them because, for example, to verify issues of bankruptcy, nationality, issues of criminality require more time. That is why when you register a political party, sometimes it takes up to 3 months to a year to validate the office bearers. Answer just to those two issues.
So when you started the program, I followed you closely. You actually read out the qualifications of a presidential candidate and the disqualifications.
Yes.
When the drafting was being done of this law on independent qualifications for the president, the framers of the Constitution knew that in 1996. The area constitution had provided that the presidential candidate should be sponsored by a political party. But they removed that provision to allow for only qualifications that were put there. Every other person who meets those qualifications should be able to stand. So in my view, in my personal humble view, is that the Article 101 does not bar an independent candidate from standing in an election. As long as you meet those qualifications, There is no replica even in the Electoral Process Act to say, no, a presidential candidate must have sponsored by a political party. But where you are sponsored by a political party, you must produce a sponsorship certificate that you have been sponsored. So you only need to meet the qualifications which are in the Constitution for you to stand as a candidate.
Okay.
But you are right, those who have issues such as bankruptcy and all that, as long as it's a disqualification and you are declared bankrupt, then then you can be barred from standing. You can be challenged once ECZ allows you to stand when you have legal issues hanging on your head. You have imprisonment that is hanging on your head, or you have served a certain imprisonment within this last 5 years or 3 years. So those are the issues that we must be looking at. For me, the issue of the independence, I think that yes, other people we've been talking with some of the colleagues to say we should move the court to determine this matter, but I think that the Constitution is clear. The framers knew from the beginning that the previous Constitution, the qualifications provided for sponsorship by the political party, but they did not adopt it. Look at the technical committee report. Those issues came up even in the provincial meetings, and they were not accepted. So, in my view, I think that the independent candidates can still stand, and the court will hear it. If there's any independent candidate who wants to go, the court will hear it and they'll determine.
Okay. So that is, for me, is where we have heard that there will be, ECZ may try to put a stumbling block by saying we can't verify some of these things. For political parties, we know that the Registrar of Societies does pre-clear by the time they're putting you on the register. But independent candidates who just appear on nominations, there'll be strangers appearing with these documents, and we understand the process of clearing them is where they might be bad. But naturally, I think what should happen is ECZ should accept. Then if there is any person contesting those facts, they should go to court, not compel ECZ to disqualify those candidates.
Exactly. I don't think that ECZ would have any valid reasons to disqualify an independent presidential candidate. And once that is done, there is also a period of 7 days in which that person can challenge, and the court has to deliver the judgment within 21 days. So there is still that period.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Very humbling. Thank you, Isaac. And I still want you on the program. So, okay, Pekanya, I'm still waiting for you, my dear brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, callers, we had Isaac Mwanza. I think he has insights into these issues. You know, he's a very litigious person. He pursues public processes very well. He takes them and tests the law in the courts of law. So when he had an opportunity to call, I thought that we should listen to him. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and give us your contributions.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. Sinyangwe Dani.
Thank you, Canada.
My call thank you. My call is just to appeal to the genuine PF members. We are where we are today because of some people who do not know where to be. The PF 2 weeks ago, went for a convention and elected the party president. Those that want to continue causing confusion, let them stick to their own confusion, because we are where we are because of them. And then sometimes people fail to redeem themselves. But you see, they vote and the people have decided who they want. You cannot just go at the platform behind your house because you want to have something to be said or to be heard. I think that time is gone. The Zambians know what is lying behind, and then sometimes I know some people are going to say A, B, C, D, but listen, for the sake of democracy, sometime Z and let the people decide. I am a confusion by Kana, but party president, let him be the party president and we'll see where you go. But to us, the people, we had a convention 3 weeks ago. We have elected Makebi Zulu, and Makebi Zulu is going to represent the party. Na totila Ambassador Mwamba, and God bless Zambia. Happy Easter to all the Zambian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adokola, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
This is Precious Mwamba from Livingstone. Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening, Precious. Make your contributions.
Yes, me, I just want to contribute on this issue of Wamao Sampa was saying the president. You know, like the previous caller said, it's not right to do things on your personal level. Let's all work together. I was not expecting Wamao Sampa to come out in that manner. What I was expecting them to be united and work together to make sure that UPND government is out of power. But it seems like, again, they are trying hard to give chance to UPND so that they can continue mistreating the people of Zambia. So me, what I was thinking is better Makebi Zulu, all of us who is supporting Makebi Zulu, we should just put our trust in God. God is going to fight this battle for us. With God, all things are possible, because right now we don't even know the truth about the people who are on our side and the people who are not on our side. It's really difficult to know. So this time, the only person we can trust, it's only you leaders like Emmanuel Mwamba, Makebi Zulu, and also Rafio Nakachinda. It's unfortunately that he's in prison. Otherwise, also that one, it means well. So these others, now we are even scared because we don't know where we are going. Anyway, me, I just put everything in God's hand. Let God himself fight these battles for us. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and give your contributions. Iyo bane mwabombeni.
Twaisha ko ile tuchuo chafya. Nyaye na Maria Shiaso.
Emkwai. Echo yabela kwensaka Yesu.
Bati nangundera ndane mapandua kalipasana. Ila shindera ndapano. Ngamwafwa evidence. Mukanjeve nkampera evidence ye. After the program, ngamara kwanisha muntu mini.
Okay.
Hii problem wa Mwambana ali imona. Lefa na imwene problem hii. Few minutes after abantu bavota. Kwali wa mama delegates abare pushama result. Nchekingireni ko kwaso. So wala beba tawe kuno mwali ya 0. Kuno mwali ya 2. So nomba after that day apita. After nomba baipusha Mwanza district. Wasango kweba tina barusa. Even before tabarachita in South ama tabarapunda rama final results yale. These are the people barabe robo twache tekeramo. Barobo twamono kweba chi eba katwa for cross Red Sea. They started telling us to say go live and start disputing the outcome of vote. Because valusa. Kwesha ko kuranda kona babo mizora imwe twache tegere muri mwati mama bare tungurula. Imwe the best that we can do. Wambe no wino mwaiche wami wina. Kwari kukano koko bati abantu bakambona fyat. Mwaiche wakabati adinsanga kare muri politics nkarenda nankwe. Kare punda njiberoyu ekateka wesuyu. Abantu bakambona sha. Beberawe leadership ifo yaba imara mtu afuirisha konso koko twafumana mtu asafika no turi na lero. So tureyosha kuri imwe kuri guidance ati no we muntu nga mukufwa enchito pero enchito waisanga bakupela kuti ure ipusho muntu umbi atubushe enchito bayibomba shani. So i problem wa Mwamba nari mwene. And I can tell you Mwamba ewe Wamao Sampa bare HTF kuri kunu makuru Wamao Sampa ewe HTF. So gapa program nala mitumina nango muntu mine na tetera Wamamba.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, the line is cut. Okay, we are discussing two issues, and you can comment on either of the two issues. Thank you, Isaac Mwanza, for those insights. And Isaac, the forum is open for you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yeah, this is Mo from Livingston.
Mr. Moa from Livingston. Endita, Yolanden Poyama.
Yeah, Ambassador, what is happening now? No, it's very disappointing. Like, if you take a clear mouse sample, how long is it going to continue strangling the party in the neck, mouse sample? Because we had found closure to this. We look at how long the convention dragged. Actually, you even said that I've done my part. Now I'm going to the final stage. You called almost all the candidates. And you had done an opinion poll on your program, of which you actually were condemned in some instances due to that non-can analysis much I program in. Yarisa rang provoke that Makebi Zulu I will not opinion properly. And then on my part here in Livingston, I'm talking as the media director now for PF in Livingston. I'm not talking as Mwachuruf. A day before that election, I had consulted with the constituency chairman to call a ward chairman from all the 20 wards in Livingston. We called. I think I've been talking about this because I think I saw that there was a problem. I called together with the constituency chairman, the officials. Livingston has got 20 wards. The attendance was 23 ward members are the ones who attended that meeting. That meeting was called to get the opinion of the leaders of Livingston on which leader they want. So, out of 23 people that attended that meeting, 21 said that they wanted Makebizuru. 2 said that they wanted the Honorable Given Lubin. So, that meeting was represented by the Electoral College. So, the Electoral College, like for Livingston District, it comprised of 9 voters. One was coming from the constituents, who is the constituency chairman. 4 were coming from the district chairman, youth, women, and the district secretary, which comprised 4. 3 voters came from the provincial officials. Then 1 came from the central committee. So Livingston District had a total of 9 votes. So when that meeting was called, the people gave their opinion and their feelings and why, because I had asked them to say after the candidates were read out, to say choose your preferred candidate and give us reasons why you want that candidate. Everyone talked about something pointing to love towards Makebizuru. 22 out of 23, 21 said Makebizuru. 2 said Honorable Given Lubin. And that's a message that we had given to the Electoral College to say this is the picture of the candidate they want. No, but Mwamba, tell me. I think we even talked on phone that day. I gave you details of how people voted in Livingstone. Out of 9 votes, 5 votes went to Chitarichurufia. 4 votes went to Honorable Given Lubinda. Makebi Zulu got 0 in Livingstone. 0. Okay?
Yes.
So, after Mari's out Maria, I really suffered in my thoughts. Because I wanted to congratulate Makebi Zulu. But I want to learn that very for Makebi Zulu. Makebi Zulu are really 0. Okay? I'm giving you a background, Ambassador Mwamba, on how much the PF has cracked. How much the PF has cracked. Our leaders were not in touch with the structure. The structures have maintained. They are intact. But there was no touch from the top to the bottom. There was no communication. So, how do you congratulate someone in such a manner? You are disappointed. I called for that press briefing. And when I called for the press briefing, I congratulated Honorable Makebi Zulu. And also I thanked Honorable Given Lubinda for the work that he has done for the party. And I noted to say that Mr. Makebi Zulu, we have got so much challenges in the party. Your work ahead of you is still very tough. That's what I said. Number Mwamba. I'm a vote of Mangefio. And then somebody disputes. After dispute, Electoral, abantu atupenda amavoti bwino ififine mumwene mumanani kani mumalizaut efyo tupende n'amapepa natupenda mufuti uyu muntu ali wina. So a day before elections Mwamba, candidates were paraded and they had to speak, they had to agree. Makebi Zulu earlier on suggested to say, tell you to I'm a campaign, why can't we be moving together? Ngabama district abasanga toranda nabe na bonse pa mama candidates. Okay? And a day before the voting, Shimba Kambwiri said, I've never seen the kind of way to actually mobilize my elections. I am PF. If you're Chiva. So, Mwamba details the organization. You've been following it. All the details. And you've been giving details. We know Kubantu. No, but how come now Mwalipa Mumma election, Mwalista Shani, and then as if it's not enough for Mausampa, Maya Muli that direction. For me, Ambassador, I'm not happy with what has happened. I'm not happy. I'm a leaders beswaba MPF. Lekeni ten tukwati yolusi abantu. Mwamba in Livingstone, the biggest hospital. Ameshi alaya. Tabu ameshi. Mala ameshi alaya 20 kese mailo iko hospital. Ama surgeries ya mubale kansula no kansula. Mlanduta kuli ameshi. Hospital. Bali ba mother shelter patapa abalolera balwede. Abantu ba Mwamba balechula. So if you reach mu PF, let's not take people for granted to papata. Yes, people love the party. But sometimes when it's too much, people are going to give up. We are all gravitating towards unity. Why can't we realize that? Ama Zambians very chula. We have had no fuel for some time. You want scarcity. They are the people who are paying the price. People are crying for unity. Up to now, I'm a candidate that the Banamba is on board. Bamambarekeni Mukuperekeni, the Kenin Bering and Karate, Rembereva Mukupa, Rembereva given Luvinda. After those elections, the Kenin Bering.
Please hold on. Hello, caller, please hold on. I've got Mr. Mua from Livingston. Just hold on, caller. Yes, Mua. Mua isanga kalata. Nibani bale mbere yo kalata. Yes, okay. But chairman and the chair of the Council of Elders, MQI.
Yeah, I think you remember Nasa Verenga Kweva Remberewa Makebi. I couldn't have it in Gawamamba. Good morning. Let me, on behalf of the Council of our Elders, of our party, thank you and congratulate you most sincerely for the daunting task you have successfully accomplished for and on behalf of the party before and after the demise of ECL, our late president. Piloting the statecraft, the magnitude of our PF party up to ushering in the new president is truly commendable. The party would still require your invaluable experience, particularly now and in the future. You have, for nearly 5 years, given all and to the best of your abilities. This everyone would agree was not easy. Let me hasten to say that a lot would be required of you. And indeed, all of us, from time to time, for the purpose of navigating now and into the future. PF owes you gratitude and will forever hold you in high esteem as a hero. Once again, congratulations and thank you. Ngonga Mukupa, Chairman, PF Council of Elders.
Muntu Minoko Yokalata is a very powerful letter. Send it to me. Thank you very much. And thank you, Chairperson, for, Council of Elders Chairperson Bangonga Mukupa for that letter. That was read by one of our officials. Hello, caller, you've been waiting for some time. Thank you. Make your contribution.
Yes. Yeah, this is Anonymous. I'm calling from Lusaka.
Yes, Anonymous.
It's very, very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I think from the explanation from the two previous callers who were involved in the elections, it's better all the districts and the provinces start to come out and give an idea of what really happens. Because in the names of by given Luvinda. By given Luvinda, we had all suggested that given Luvinda remain and be a statesman. Act, or rather be an elder. Don't involve yourself in these elections. Because nowadays people want to relate with people who are a bit youthful. And for Mr. Luvinda to have thought that he can win an election, for Mr. Kambi to have thought that he can win an election in the party and later on the national, that must have been something very impossible. So now, you could see, even from the way Mao Sampa was talking today, the body language would tell that there's a voice behind you. Mao Sampa had nothing to say. He was just given a paper to read out by those who want to control him and those who want to cause confusion. And really the way he has said the Livingston man, how people are suffering and how people had hope that maybe there will come out something in this party, the ruins of this Patriotic Front. First, Mr. Mundubile also did a very, 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 very unthinkable. Mr. Mundubile would have waited just a little bit so that we went into these elections. Maybe Mr. Mundubile would have come out the first or the second, and then we would have taken it from there and then go now properly as a party to FDD or Mr. Kalaba or Mr. KPF, and neither of them, and then we use that as a vehicle, purpose vehicle. Now Abantu started jumping out, others remained loyal. Mr. Lubinda is the one who organized the election. He was the one who was in the thick and thin of everything. How would he not accept the results? Because we haven't heard anything from Mr. Lubinda. We haven't heard anything from Mr. Gambwili. People would have thought these guys, all of these guys, the big goons, would have rallied now behind. Leadership, Bamdala, it's not about being elder or Narika Ramukabata 25 years. If it's not yours, it's not yours.
No, my brother, thank you very much. But as you heard from the letter from the chairperson for elections, I think it was very conciliatory and very magnanimous. Ngongam Kupa, the chairperson for Council of Elders, wrote a very wonderful letter extolling Honorable Given Lubinda for the wonderful leadership he had shown in the last 5 years. I think we picked that spirit. I've got another caller. Let me hear who it is. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. This is MCC Kibombwe.
My dear brother, I'm privileged that a member of the Central Committee has called and give us your perspective.
I tried with several numbers and luckily one for my wife went through.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. The lines are buzzing, but here you are. Give us your views.
Yes, Ambassador. You know, as members of a Central Committee, it's usually very difficult for us to, give a position. But then there are also things that I felt obliged to speak to in the interest of organization. We must always protect our organization.
Correct.
And particularly those that are not there to defend themselves.
Yeah.
So as a party, I think we had our convention, and I hear a couple of things, so I'll be all over the show just to respond to some of them. I hear from the last caller who says that President Given Lubinda organized a convention and he was in the thicket of things. And I think these are some of the things that we need to correct. The elections are not organized by the party president in the PF. The elections are a preserve of the elections chairman. And the elections chairman is then also expected to work with an independent electoral commission. So I just wanted to correct that perception because it usually puts our leaders in bad light. It makes it seem like they're the ones who never wanted a convention. And when you hold a convention, they were the organizers. And when there's an outcome, they are responsible for the outcome. So I think we should protect people who are not there to defend themselves, especially if they haven't spoken. Now, for me, as a member of the Central Committee, that election outcome, the final outcome may not have been different. Maybe the winners could have been winners. Maybe the winners could not have been winners. I don't know. But what I know for certain is that there has been some concerns and misgivings about what transpired within that election. And again, I'll reiterate that it may not have changed the result. All elections in politics, all of them, have got one or two mingalatos of some kind. What matters is how you come out of that as a group. Okay, jamwana onani nyonyapa jamnati chaka so much chaka style paja. It wasn't nice, but anyway, let's move on. Those things do happen. So it's how you come out of that disagreement in the election.
It becomes a leadership issue.
Yes, exactly. And I'm aware, I mean, because now it's in public domain, I can talk about it. There was a petition. I think 4 candidates, I could even say 5, although one of them didn't sign, felt that the electoral process did not go according to the way that they had agreed. And that some things which happened, and one of them I can give you as an example, was the fact that the electoral monitors and the presiding officers should have been identified by the Independent Electoral Commission. But to the contrary, it was then discovered that the provincial chairmen, who were also interested parties and voters, were given the responsibility by the electoral chairman to actually identify who was going to monitor elections. That takes away the independence. Whether it changes the result or doesn't change the result, like I've said, that's a story for another day. There are people who have said, well, we did actually submit blank forms and then sent them to what was called the totaling center. And in the totaling center, the results were different from what they had actually counted. A case in point is Mongo, and you heard that voice note, and people threatened to even resign because their names were being dented. Now, that is water under the bridge. What matters for me now is who is bound to lose and who's bound to gain. Right now, based out of that convention, we have President Makebe. And through him, he is bound to lose if he does not unite the party. And the onus then falls on the president and the leadership to go to the others and engage. Colleagues, we are one. Okay, people's pride and egos and everything are bruised by that outcome. If they are grieved, then they are also bruised. So how is he taking it? How is he engaging these people? People may say that Honorable Mao Sampa is acting differently and so on and so forth. We must ask ourselves the question, what could have prompted him to behave that way? Have we interrogated that? How has been the relationship maybe ever since the election? Those things are critical in leadership. Because if Honorable Mao Sampa is correctly handled, then I personally don't see why he would go to the press and start saying, I'm still party president. So everything, you see, when you become a leader, the buck starts and stops at you, unfortunately. It does. When President Lubinda was leading the party, everything started and stopped at him. When we failed to hold the convention, it was his problem. When the party was splitting, others going to FDD, it was his problem. When defections were happening, it was his problem. And from last weekend, anything that happens now is going to be on President Makebe. So if we want to help our party, if we want to help his presidents, then we must be able to start pushing our president in the direction that this thing does not crumble. And there are many ways, I cannot discuss the details, but there are many ways that can be done so that the team moves forward as one. That is very important. On the other hand, some people talked about the issue to do with the courts, and the judgment that we received. Obviously, that judgment plays into the hands of the UPND. Had the UPND courts said that the PF, Honorable Mao Sampa, did not hold a genuine convention, then Chavinga and Morgan, who are a product of that convention, would have fallen off. But to keep their cases alive, they deliberately gave that verdict towards Mao's. So these are things we should be worrying about as members of the Central Committee and saying, how can we be strategic in order to avoid the UPND from having a walk in the park? We don't have a government that respects the rule of law. This is an autocracy. And if we are going to be divided, we're just further going to be fueling and perpetuating the state of these dictators that we have in government. So, to cut the long story short, Mwamba, the issue of calling each other names, the issue of trying to paint Akambwili black, Iwaluinda black, Mao is black, is just simply going to make things difficult for our president. It will be totally difficult. What we should be looking at is, sir, President, sir, how are you uniting the party? How are we moving on from the election that declared you as president, sir? If people are rebelling, then there's something wrong. Then clearly there's something wrong. If Honorable Mwamba was going to feel less a player than he was, then obviously you're going to get rebellion. So internally as PF, let us sit, let us resolve on how people can wear the important jackets that they used to wear. For instance, if Honorable Given is still regarded as substantive vice president of the party, and this is pure as an example, not that it has happened, but pure as an example, and then he is removed from certain committees, for example, in the National Executive Committee, what will be the implication of that? The implication of that, therefore, would be that, maybe the man has been fired. He has no role. But to the public, are they going to know that this is what is happening internally? So that backstops at the president. The president should, this is almost 12 days, actually 13 days from the time that we had the elections. If we are failing to speak as one voice, then I think we need to do more. Ourselves as members of the party, but also our president, because the buck stops at him. Otherwise, we will not be headed anywhere. We should be thinking about, worrying about these issues that Isaac Mwanza was talking about, although even him, he was not being sincere, Honorable Mwamba. The fact is that when the Electoral Act, the Electoral Bill has been presented, they will present what you call the trivial menace. They'll give you too many things that are trivial in there, but one that is critical that they want. And the one that is critical is the proposal that a president must be registered with the Register of Society. Now, the Electoral Commission of Zambia does not have the mandate, to deal with the registration of parties. They are donating power to themselves, which they do not have. That is a preserve of the Register of Society. And they have no right whatsoever to determine whether there are too many factions, to determine whether there are too many conflicts. That is not their business. Their business is to receive forms, nominations, and those who are not happy will go to the court. But where we are going, you can see that this sitting of National Assembly has even deliberately adjourned, so that the next time they come and deliberate on this issue. They will vote on the very last day, Parliament will close, and you go nowhere to go and petition. These are the things that we should be worrying about, not these issues of elections. Elections have passed, whether they were clean by 10%, by 50%, or 100%, it doesn't matter. What matters is how do you move on after that declaration.
Oh, Kibombwe, thank you very much. That's our member of Central Committee, Honorable Kibombwe. He has given good insights and good advice, both to the PF and to some specific concerns to Honorable Makebi Zulu. He has implored on him to unite the factions and the powers in the PF. And for the avoidance of any other matter, the Vice President, Honorable Given Rubinda, was acting president of the PF. He has returned to his substantive position as Vice President. So if there has been any misunderstanding, I think it should be cleared. Thank you, MCC Kibombwe. Very, very insightful comment. Sorry, the other callers, we had to delay you because when we get, someone with such inside information, we give them more time for your benefit. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. Nkonge.
Bamunkonge mwabombe mwa bantu bakwalesa.
Kwena na bumba fyo mutende aba MCC bafuma pwapo bebe niko. Abana bena barefaye kwa nabambi. Next time nangu put program taira pa batumena mumbi umo. Ambassador University for kurandani pama elections. Uwa fya fwe bantu foto ashukira tuyimona fye kwa twayibumbire fye kwebene. Pano pesa mbali ya charo chinsuchi. Nifyo fine kula chitana dawo tamaliza otsinga yafu mupantu bagira balesa. Tabayishi batiresa okwa. Nangu bamona kwa tiresa bomba munshira nshiresa bomba mufin fiance. Bama Cape Zulu bamaliza otsi yafu mine. Ninshi bonse group bafukamine panshino kwa mbopepa. bali mwana maka ya kwa software because ama election bayingire mu bali mwene obuntuse fyo kwa ingishe mu amaka lero echo bena group yabo bachitegera muri lesa na yena ali baranga tirekeni mirange ko feka tyongo nomba barabena abalelanda tabayishi bati charo cha kwaleza kino ne fyonzereza runkwa kuba naba mupepa ama ke zuru ni lesa wa beminine so fyonse fyo bari echitateti bombeke na shani bakara sitanga bati bapange chimfurunganya basanga pabu kwikatana pantulesa wa kutemwa tewa kupata echo ninga kose ntakuwa ambassador bakonko kwebati ifwe ba PF twalisale ntungurushi nentungurushi twasara natkwatana na ba MCC abakumanyina natkwatana na ma structures zo moyabera orondero mbako abama provincial leaders ababayitire kuri bakateka bagwesha wangu amashiwi sometimes ba ambassador bamipera kwa bama bakamipere kwa numbers ya abama provincial leaders ama numbers ya retain sometimes mwabachitako host mwatumina ko uli kushanyuko ai sasa pera kwa ma inside different sikakula province no uli uko pakwa bacha abantu baisha abantu firenga tureranda turekoseresha abantu ati firenda bwino kulingana no butungurushi basalire ko umuntu afite mbi nibasa pota byabo baginisha ko tureranda fitunturu so mufire mwapanga fora kwa mwamba ababene bayi musisi abachi mko bamishitako na connect kuba bantu bami oro chimbecho ndero mbako insta tuwarera nda tuchiteri brand PF insta yako chiteri brand PF kuli misepere ya intungurushi ama yotsi mawati aya wombesha sana lero yabapanshi so endeni mula munchende bamwamba ebeni kwa ma MCC bapere kwa misepere ntungurushi pantu ababa karamba ababa chimfurunganya ngato warumbure ntungurushi imwe ya chimfurunganya nishina ikwatana abantu aba chimfurunganya kula ku constituency kula ku what so ama offices bamwamba ama constituency offices ababa chitire hoja ama offices nishite ikubiyonzei kuba tasha no kubebo kwe bachizambya pali ino nshita ile fwayo mwero wa kusanako so mwe ba mona sana kupinzo tatimi patire lero to arachinja ko butungurushi pero kwa misepera kwali ba PF youth ba chairman ba national chairman chiteni kwangu identify misepera shambyo kutungurura ama ward na ma constituency nishita yako chitali brand bakwe bachifile tkonkanye ko kwenda pantunga mwabika kwa abantu abayikara awababika kaliro pantanshi awaba fo afeberanga bapokerera ninshiro batware eri ashiria bipakuli misepera ishimwene charo ko chire onaika chipere nyo butunguru shinishita yako chitari brand ba Emmanuel ababanga imwe ba Emmanuel mu chipani chesu ba nono mumone myako wingi mwabomba tapaba kwa chimwapone no mwabafe pakati na mumonane intungurushi makepi zuru isa era ni moine mwabera mureza pere ntungurushi yakwe bati yara sta identify no butungurushi banyandikisha mu PF to alishi ba mu PF kwali babantu bamwama ama constituency chair ready ama chair ready constituency chairman baba bakwatirimbi PF limbi abafyashi babo bari chitikisha obutungurushi so ni nshita ino yako stari brand please bachandaka kwe konsoko mulero konga mwaya ebeni ba province basari okutungurushi wapa grassroots baperi abana emisepera omwasanga vyati mu PF babutungurushi ali kwa 2 terms kumwe batawo pali ino nshita pesi nopo tulendera mwaratungirira ko mwachinja ko barabali kuyufi babikeni ko pantanji baragombo kwe bata abantu babamone mukupangesha lyako bata babamone chipanchara pantanji muibura fe baraba kwata masane mu ya PF na muri kukulwa tuleya baraba kwata amanani kane ya PF ati banapanda PF banashani PF nishita yako tusha pesa barekere kwa abayiche mwebe karacharo ifyefya kwa bati conference ya iseyo taipo tenchito ni conference ya pa compound ya mwachumana no kwa yachibera ni pa compound tumwa bareka bare stafira fina ma conference na mairokti bapanga na imi bagirekeni ama structures yari mibombera mwebe karacharo techi musaka manyacho ba PF ama confusion chabana shani aba mfwe chitendo frafine mwachuna ko mwamona koko bapanga conference batinga mwamona utungurushi baba makepi zuru oko buleya kuma structures kwabo gwafya yena kuti mwaima mwaranda na muona papene baba sara panish kwishi nono na basara ama MC abakwe bati na mwe bantu na musekeramu okulingana na anefi abantu barefwa so lekeni ba MC na bena baba mirange ko leadership awaba ma conference barekeni tibapanga na nkoma ndali fo na bakwatensamu lero lero tabareka takuli structure yesu kusitoa bareka kaina ngwapanga conference tabachiranda kupali kateka wesu tabachitukapo kateka wesu tabachitukapo ba MCC basara so abene na bena na bakwatefe barera ndamwa bamufave trafini lero mwira chita connect kuri structure ya charo ipangirwe lekeni mirange ifitwaro ipangirwe bamake zuru bamirange leadership mwaleba barubinda tibakokora my elections bomba kwa my elections bapanga my elections basara na bamakepi barabombera icharo na ma structures ayo arefo ayo ukubike charo pantanji mweba kwa tamasane mukonkanya ni kwefefine mwebe murete kama meeting tatwa kamisa rure lero urendo bwimine tabwake mininepo na bwimani fifine mweba ntumwira sakamana nangu mwamfa chikurwansha kuri press conference mwa kumfa kofi mwamfa chikumanza kuri press conference kumfa kofi mwamfa chikumanza kuri press conference kumfa kofi lero na mumono butungurushi wa ma structures wena ififine buleya le sofia bomba ni ififine kumefurunganya mure ferole shape mwalaba kono kula bamwifumamo tumwafurungani namo parabare fo kumifurunganya basureni nga mure batamba umuntu ngare furungana nango ale tukana mure mutambanishi mure mutuma mweba kutamba kumusuro omuntu mwamumona vyacha abana bena bambaku mwabara bakono kubaraba parabare mona timwara abasuka no basuka ofyo basura abakuba tatufire turebura abakuba tuabura mano yesu tubike pa bakuba pantu amano tukwete yakankara kuya bomfyako kuba amano ya kuba amano napera ba Mwamba.
Thank you very much. It's been an eventful period. I'll take the last 4 or 5 calls and we can call it a day. Is Eve of Easter. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador, good evening.
Good evening.
First and foremost, the happening of Mouse is very, very disturbing. But I think I'm on the record of this program saying that some is a project of the house. And some, let's go back, some who is his wife, is a niece. She's a niece to HH or his wife, the family member. So I don't think he can drift away from the project that he started of destroying TF. So what I was doing back at Yapa, charity as a project, just to manipulate. And it's very unfortunate that the party fall into the trap and the rest. So what is now going back to the that is another thing. Division is a very normal after election. You saw what happened to the President Nkurunziza, so rest in peace. There was division. But just to comment and concur with what the other caller just mentioned, is to cement and encourage that we can further. Every competition has a setback. So it has to be from the president himself and all the members to come together and massage each other and forward. But on which peers? That's the question. Which peers? So unless you're telling me that there's a car, there's a vehicle that is being used, that Makedi who drive.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Hi, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Queen Pumi.
Queen Pumi, my co-host. Make your contributions, my dear sister.
Thank you, Ambassador. I don't really have much to say, but just to bring to their attention that I think it's a pattern. Whenever something is big is going on. Right now, we just lost a student at the university, and no one is talking about it. And all of a sudden, Miles comes with this big thing. So I think just to kumichinkula kufebe na Zambia, let's pay attention to the details. And the apopo to afakushta multitask. Amadi ashikuya konka. Let not things be overtaken by events. We saw, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a video circulating of a ZNS commander giving money tantameni umwana na afakulia kuyunza tatulelanda po ba Miles sampabana bubaisa nefyabo. So this government really, all of us, like, we must have eyes 360 degrees, you know, because if we just focus on one issue, meanwhile, your electoral commission, whatever, so I just want to remind Zambians, if you want to we should have a notepad and follow these issues as we come online. We talk about everything and everything that's going on. We need to expose by ECZ. One of the honorable callers said that by ECZ have no mandate to start changing the rules of the game at the last minute. It is a shame and a disgrace. ECZ is just a referee. So I don't know where they're getting off changing the rules and determining who should pick a president. What is the interest of ECZ in who is on the ballot or who is not the ballot? Is it their mandate for ECZ to start picking and choosing, to start redefining the rules of the elections in the 11th hour? All those people, they'll be held accountable. If they tamper with the qualifications of the presidential candidates against the Article 100 of our Constitution, we shall deal with them when the time comes. Rules of the game at ECZ. We shall hold them accountable name by name, because we have a constitution to follow. They just can't be waking up and say, oh, a president should be nominated by the SG. Does that say that anywhere in Article 100? No. Zambians, wake up, stand your ground, and fight for your democracy. Don't let these people run you over. Whatever fear Zambia. We say no to this dictatorship from ECZ. And I'm putting them on notice personally. If I won't be there, deal with these people at ECZ. Enough is enough. People are not sleeping. I want to make it if you're worried. Am I going to be on the ballot? Am I going to be disqualified? The courts are compromised. Even if the ECZ say that you don't qualify, if you take a case to court, we know what's happening at the courts. Zambia. You know, we will take names of any judge who's going to disqualify a candidate, and ECZ all the names. We saw what was happening to Mackenzie, what Chipenzi and Madam Tandy, that conversation, and we sit here and expect free and fair elections. In Zambia, wake up, I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are Tulikumatero, thank you. That was Queen Pumi. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is Alfred calling from Lusaka.
Alfred, make your contributions.
On PF matters.
Okay, thank you.
I think in our life, yes, if we call ourselves Christians, we should never substitute God in whatever is happening in our lives, unless we want to be spiritually blind. Okay? What is eating us up as PF is ego. And, you know, when I look at David, okay, they never saw a king in David. And he was actually forgotten. He was busy in the wilderness looking after the flock of his father. So when Samuel came to anoint the king of Israel, the father had lined up his elderly, well-looking, elderly sons. And God did not choose any one of those. He went to the last born, because David was the last born, if I'm not mistaken. And when the prophet inquires, are these the only sons you have? The father said, yes, except the one who is younger. He's in the field looking after my flock. Then the prophet said, call him. That's how David was anointed. I can't save under uyumwa iche kamoneka shani tafia tuafwe. Whose interest are they saving, if not the interest of the party? Look at Mama Inongewin. She served under Israel, who was younger than her. She said, I can't serve under this because I'm older than him. No, let's have humility, Mwebantu Bakwalesa. We chefia, and let's have the party at heart. And I'll tell you one thing to say. I think the working of God now, this is when I'm realizing it. Because even me, I was spiritually blind. If Mundubile had stayed in PF up until this convention which is held up, I'm telling you, he could have won. He could have won. But this is when I'm trying to realize, maybe this is the working of God. Because there's a money mashes. If we want to reach a council and how well structured the person is, but Usuma Wakwaresa, he sees our hearts. And he has got his own way of doing things. Kanshi is rebranding us. And Bamundu just stepped out. Bamakebi just came towards the end of 2025. And he had not enough time to go around the entire country to campaigning structures. But what has happened? The structure voted for him. Who told them to vote for him? It cannot be God. That's why they knelt down and they thank God, because it can't be a miracle. And this is when I'm trying to realize maybe this is the working of God.
Thank you, my brother.
PF is rebranding us. Since we have refused to rebrand, maybe God is rebranding us.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you.
Let's not substitute God from what is happening in our party.
I love that. That's a good example.
On us.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
And
let's not lose hope. Let's not. Those who don't want to unite, who excuse them? We allow nature to do its way, like it was with Israel. There was too much resistance. As you can remember, the factions, they were there. But God had his own way of doing things. Israel won, and he became the Republican president. And he ruled us very well. I think God sees the heart. He saw the heart of Israel. And I pray that he has seen the heart of Makebi Zulu. So let's not substitute God from whatever is happening. And time is up. People are still confused. They think PF is still in Tonse. And when we speak to the people, that's when they are realizing to say, Kash PF is not in Tonse. We thought it's Tonse and you chose Brian Mundu as president. No. This is the status quo now. So, Mwebantu Bakwaresa, please, God is rebranding us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. And
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Uncle J.
Yes, Uncle J.
Thank you again for the opportunity to speak on this wonderful, great platform that God has given us.
Thank you.
Let me just start by castigating ECZ, first of all. ECZ's mandate is to facilitate an election. But what we are observing currently really brings a lot of fears to most of us for our democracy and the peace of the country. And this is one thing that they need to know. ECZ are facilitators, meaning they are supposed to get or engage each and every participant in this election. They should not be seen to be weighing on the side of the government. But again, it is very clear when you look at the composition of ECZ, it's very clear that what we have at ECZ are political cadres, not neutral commissioners. But we are calling upon them to rise above their partisan affiliation and look at the nation Zambia as a country that has always been the beacon of peace, where we have had a lot of people come from all over Africa and reside in our country peacefully and conduct their businesses and continue with their livelihood. Zambia has hosted powerful meetings to foster peace on our continent. And that cannot be and should never be eluded. because of people that are not patriotic to the nation, but all they think about is their selfish agenda that want to perpetuate a long stay of a person that has already been rejected by Zambians because of their failure to govern our country. So, ECZ, you must understand that you will be made to account for what you are trying to do. Zambia is a powerful nation that is grounded on the principles of democracy, love, and care. And that should never be forgotten by whoever is made to facilitate the democratic processes of our country. Remember, coming to the issue of PF, I know there will always be confusionists. There will always be people that are excited. There will always be people that are greedy. But just like the previous caller said, and I've stated this before, when it comes to Makebi Zulu, God is in this story. And I want people to understand, and I want people to be encouraged. God is in this story. When you look at his coming to presidency in PF, he's being voted, he's being called to come to leadership. It's extraordinary. God has it in mind for the widow in South Africa. God has it in mind for the people that are in prison and have been praying to him to say, God, intervene in our matter. Hence this project, Makebi Zulu. So, those that are confusionists will see their own destruction. My appeal, just like the other caller had said, may the President Makebi take a step and begin to engage all these people. Those that are willing to come down, those that are willing to work with him. Of course, it's democracy. You can't force. There are people that are just confusionists. You can't force them. But those that are willing, please work with them. Engage them. You are a leader. You are a father now, and everyone is looking up to you. Take this step, approach, and begin to engage these people. Those that are willing, they will come and work with you. But for the rest of the people that are following Makebi Zulu, my encouragement to you, continue praying for this man. He's the one that is anointed. David was told the same thing by his brothers. You are nothing before Goliath. The Goliath we have is Hakainde Hichilema. And I've heard all these things being said against Makebi Zulu compared to Hakainde Hichilema. But as long as God is involved, the Goliath will surely come down. I thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've got a caller who's waiting. Let's hear from caller. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. Kwa kaputa kuna mkwai.
Mkwai mayo. London po mwebe na kaputa.
Mkwai. Nami posha wose wakonfo bakumula basoyo. Ndefo kulwanda palwa PF nolwa ba ECZ. Balile po ba ECZ. Ukufuma wa apo bakakile first bakanina ba malanji na ba boma lusambo okuti yo teti mulembe shokutira mukeminina pamulandu wa ati abeni balande mutsunga because of article 52 bantu nomba muzambia na bose natsanguka ba lawyer nomba three quoting of yama acts and caps never imbiko so ule mkashana na ale mulolekesha ndefo kusuntinkanya nolulandire bambayo ba puni kwa Amerikoko mulolekesha tujana maya lela ndafiyati teti mwimine because of article 52 ni nani ule londo la fiye fintu uya muntu teti alande fiya kulichire mutuna kwali bachale mutuna mumbwa kulila nishipali kwa shintilile nomba kwena ndi bute wonse ilibula kula bawiye ilibula nabaleuka chalo la mkutila ababa pamine kuma ECZ bashibuka fe buchelo abati yo twala pange funde lya msangoyo no msangoyo umutima wandi walifika pali fya lande ba mayo bapumi uko abati yo abantu tetale panga fya mafunde fifine fi tule balemba bwino buna mashina yawo tule kwata fino tuma video tuma clips twapanga umuteeko bukachinja bakesa afika kona bukuchidi okutira nga chilensa mbu wale pangila pwala mafunde wale funa pa bulambaji emkwai funa chirafu kukoseresha kwe icho chalandela mayo bapomye kwe bati chachiramwa abantu kulapiri bukafi balandero thing bafuna okwishibati nganaba kwato ule batwala ule bapere yefunde indi wekamule ikamupusa ikajibula bena nte elo bakubwelela pali PF lilali bife kwali okusala ati mbani mlesala papa napa nila lande kuna tiwa makebi zulu nomba tinatemwa babombera pamona ba mundu ile but tafila pwili ko kuyentaji ba mundu ile baya ukuko baya ba makebi zulu bashalo ku patreto telesa jufini ba makebi na basalwa and no koseleshwa wonse abantu le koseleshwa okutila ati ba makebi iteni naba muwombere pamu nefu balando ko bati PF nga kwala baya okulongana okukulu bonse aba suspended bale balabweshiwa nabababweshe bonse nababwele nabo bene banakirire okubika poneshu ile alanda ba last speaker ile akutila ati nokuyichefya kusuma kiti mbombe no ipatu mwaiche pale ine awe chachi ni bamale bayinonge babombere naba Edgar Lungu kuti twasambirira kofi mwapa pene ukwichefya chokwa kwebati chirondolo kechintu bantu tatuikale muzambia ibale chafye tiyona baleetako abakuchita train okuchita riga ama votes ngefitwamu napo kufyalo kumbi okukuma Uganda nakuma chinshi nakuma Tanzania teti Zambia yikale efe pantu Zambia chipampa cha mutende ichipampa chile cha imini na pachiula pataya pazanza mapalupili oasis of peace ifo batwitepo nomba fwe ba oasis of peace ni fwe wechalo cha laundali lefi teti twika lefyo mune nifo bale ikata abantu bakapokola besu bale ifwala nama mask mwe bantu kwati ni ba terrorist efyo Zambia yesu yabefyo bakapokola besu poko ya mkwikata omuntu mwe bantu bale funyana ka ikanshika ID kala bakapokola bentana kokulanda ati twaisa mukukwikata nifwe bakuti elbaya fina omuntu na bamuse ukoko ine baya mwikata basamira omulanda twakucharging efi eno kuchatirwa bakapokola tabale fisama pamenso nango ni ba detective bene bamukama bafunyaka ya kantu balangisha akamutwe kabo nomba ukuya mkwikata bali abanyasulu bale elwishanya nolwa bamundu bile. Honestly, those guys were dressed like terrorists. Chakuti. Oh, that's not our Zambia. This is not our Zambia. We have to come out of the shadow to be reality as Zambia. Which the Rafu Yesu Christ. We were Zambia, Kutuma Neni, Wino, Musa de Poptila. They tweak a libale ikata abantu to Fiananguina now, Weaver. Now, Weaver, Kashkaba Kusa, the window by na evidence yacho weaving. Nature to Akuatila. Nabo baisa n'abafimbana abantu balapukunya omuntu kwati nakitemusoka abala ekitemusoka tabalibekata awe natotera bamwamba efine.
Thank you, Mayo Abena Kaputa. Let me take two last calls and we can close. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name, where you're calling us from.
Thank you, Ambassador. My name is Rob. I'm calling from Manchester.
Rob, make your contributions.
Yes, thank you so much. I didn't get the name, but there was a gentleman that called and said from Central Committee.
Oh, Kibombwe, MCC Kibombwe.
Yes, and he was talking about issues to do with leadership and bringing the party together, and he challenged Makebi to try to work hard and try to bring the party together. And he was mentioning about it's almost 12 days from the time he was elected, and I think he wasn't being very fair to Makebi, because you're very aware that there were people that challenged the election results and everything. And when you have people that are challenging you, or they are challenging the results, how do you bring them together? You know, because they are challenging your leadership already. They think someone else would have won. So how do you bring those people in a meeting to talk to you? So it's I think people need to be very fair, because I think I could see the direction where I was saying that whenever things were wrong, everyone would say, Luvinda and stuff. Yes, it's true. Those things were there. But when you're running an organization, and people are challenging your leadership, it's impossible for you to bring them together because, yes, the meeting might not go in the way that it needs to be, but you need to settle those things first. And then those people, once they accept that you are the leader and stuff, then you could try to find a way forward. But otherwise, it was very disappointing for someone from the Central Committee to be so short-sighted and not realize the dynamics.
Robert, let me help. MCC Gabriel was saying, to his knowledge, the matter of petition was not made public, and is right. We only made it public. Yeah, we only made it public today when a decision. Now, when everything was settled, then we're advised to communicate the decision. I think the issue of a petition was like a rumor. Many people, there was no official status on it.
So it wasn't made public, but the people at MCC, I'm sure they were very aware.
Yes, correct, correct.
And they have to be very fair, because when you have people that are challenging your leadership, even in any organization, it's impossible for you to bring them together.
No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
So what I'm trying to say here, and you see, these are some of the issues why when people say that leadership has to change, because there are people that use a certain level of emotion and compare different circumstances. So for the PF to function fairly, what people need to realize is to read the energy in the country. You could see the direction that a lot of people are with the young man. And what we need to do is to find out exactly how we can work together. And some of the things that you were saying there, I found them very uncomfortable. Just because you've served the party for a very long time, it doesn't warrant you to have the most senior position. Some of these positions should be offered to people that are capable of doing the work. So if at all anyone in the party has served there and they are capable to do the function properly and bring the party back into power, age should not play a factor, and how long you've been in the party should not play a factor. Because what's happening here, Mwamba, there's a dynamic of people that were no longer interested in politics, and they've been watching from a distance to see the level of politicians that we're having in our country. And some of them are actually saying, I think we need to go back home and save our country. Because the level of politicians that we are seeing now, we can't understand what's going on. So if at all people only be given opportunities because they've served 20, 30 years and stuff, then we have a problem. Because political parties evolve. You have to look at in history, the Labour Party here, they had Gordon Brown, they had these Tony Blairs and stuff. They are nowhere near the party. So it's one of those things where even you could check in history. And we have to change our mindset as a political party, even as a country. We have to change our mindset. There's a lot of talent in our country, and the sooner we start working with that talent, then we'll be in a better place. Because some of the current leaders that we have now, they can't even inspire a grade 5. They don't give any inspiration whatsoever. Gone are the days where you would sit down and name every minister in the government. And that's because those people inspired people. Now it will take you, maybe you need to use Google to even mention 5 ministers in the current government, because they are so bad and they don't inspire people. And now what we need to do is to change how we think and come together. Those that wants to take Zambia in the new independence, you will see from their walks, their fruits, and their language. Let's give this young man a chance to show us what he can do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob. I'm from Manchester. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Vanemu Abombeni, mwebani mukwai. Oh, emkwai wa Boniface kuchingola. London po yama bwangu tudi mukusondwelela.
Mwamba. Kwali bechibembe kuchali lando kwebati. Pangaya sapa. Mwakwenda bachirisha bakarabe. Bamwayibukisha sana. Bamwayiko chiru cha bakupanga echi chipani. afire kwemwa muti bali mwene fyo abali ya kutaji bamuno kwe batiko tuleya liwe performing expert kwangu fya nyokufya yezo mwalera ndana kumbe betwai kibati bako pejati konga ndi balungu shani kumapuli ama names ya Yesu kwa Yesu lero chifyo lukasabanya ngebe mwamfa bafu makwalero ndola atukwata abana ebisepera abali boino ishaba temwishisho pia kuchiro kutemwe charo cha Zambia achakutira twatemu pia kuchiro kutemwe charo cha Zambia you find ubati yawa mule umfatira ushiko abati factors oko tule kwata abali tungushi ama yemu pia wasaliro abali fiko kulatire charo amana vya twacho ruchero atwa muleka kwati kwa wino ati na side effects atule kanu side effects but kusangwa kutama effects ule muleka kwati hawa nensu ine no pia kama losha sana lumwachara ndo pamula wako na una democracy na my election tukakwata mwaka yale muleka kwati akawe free and fair election kama losha mtu pacha yuye yale inaba ni mpao alefika kuko kurupa prowacha cha Zambia shorpa prowacha cha Zambia lula ndashari afiro kukanka bale fokuya kuma election bale fokisa imini na fie fokuya kuma election intraparty elections bale fo ayaba nabo bale ku intraparty election nabo ya ku intraparty election bale beba tamata qualify because they have many days abale bali la population spokesperson bale la ndaba fio amba mwaisa rocha sana ile tunamu kwa toko tuleya ba ECZ bale monikano kuba judge ni abantu ba mu ECZ pate candidates ndire na kuchitire kile moneka tatwaisa kuli ba member of parliament kila kuli ba speaker of national assembly abalimo kile la mboko wa tikatalizi momo ichiri abale konka kunani constitution yesu wa kurupa pro WhatsApp na hocho data emphasize ichwa mo icho nanda polyot amunyine na mwa kwete ambition ya kufa kwa president bale state gone down ikale ni punish wewe shokwe ba tikeni tikese cha history democracy kale ni punish mwikolesha pakwe batire ndefo kwa president tawa kabe uyo musango tule yangalira mutawa kabe ewe tikesa ko kapokosa na ponao ale kubishoko bati basaboi poira bali moneke ko bati iyo babaletere muri buka bamwe ko bati bali popular batapa no kutisha what happened today when DC now bateka punish because baba konka that's why it is turaranda tinkala munga yapo na mumushi wamana yali omwana wa muno don't expect that umwana will be safe because we are not equal kualaisa konka poni mwana ubi na ngumwana ubi because it's like a chako bati ena ili okushwa yokuli abantu so since ngaire kuwa yokuli abantu na yo wine let's expect that ngwa to mwana na one day na wewe wine omwene okafuma pansi ikakuikata tata yake kate wekesa ikato mwana so kashinga balanda tie tupepe kenkala muifume mumushi ero tuishalire tuangale kufunya pashe mwapusana na abantu pepeke ninkala muifume mumushi ayafuma mushinga kuipa ya mwashara mwakwata kunani freedom mwero mwambo kulaye ndero mwakwata totuma issues icho ndera ndachakutira ba politician iseni pamo mwitungo ko batine na lapita ba mutubire ba makisuru ba kalaba ba membe nabambi abali pamo iseni pamo kale ni paishi bantu ngachakutira mwapanya ni chance ya kuisaye ndemye bamwe bali ba politician ukekatwa ero mukakatwa because mule imwana no kuimwana masaini so ikatana ni bonse pamo make sure na mwata histo democracy mafunya ko government ya UPN elo mukabwirire mu political party Verified bantu tukeza muku bisumisha limbi mukabana ntundushi kala umfa kuri ifu bantu katwala government yakwa besha kwa tension ke government ya kwa taiko tension yecho ilifu stage chonzi umuntu ali ngale kwa tension na bamwe bati choice amona ko bati na balanda kwa twistaka no amdenso tabakwete ba government tabale kongo constitution bali isenda no kuisonda constitution ya kwa prowacha cha Zambia bali yabika na mukampeti bali bika kono bali siringa no kusiringa bati avenga mwacho cha bati stedi so cho ndemi kozo bishaba munyinane ndio aba president ishteko ye dese upera mu president kale ni paishi misala ngana chawama uno mwaka tuko kwa tevya political party yabiri ba UPND na imbi party when kwa UPND tabaka convention na ngwaka convention tabaka kumanyishe ungana madezo tulipenda ka convention yesu na bugire but Verified 30 days tabala kumanyisha eba fujo kuya na convention country wide pero na tumara ba munyine fambira be matio nene mwine wa party ina mutisha tatushire mu plan yali neko bali plan paka fe yakwalese wingarulisho bati bali plara nifi lelo nakonkomesha ekompelelwa Mwamba twatotera kumula basawo kula tukula basambira ko suma nefibi naye bere tulamona ati apa mwatena mwa ukawino abambi abesa tulesa mukumona ati apa barushanya ba Mwamba barushanya ndebe tufire cyabo leto tera mukokanye kukutira tule umfu ugeze tuwafona panshina ya election kula basawo ino ikona ikabandi tulimbi eko twingongo bali sauti yake tuwami twatotera mko.
Thank you very much. The last caller, sorry, there are so many calls up to now, but I'll just take the last caller. Thank you, Boniface. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Mrs. Anonymous from the AI Kingdom.
Yes, Miss Anonymous,
yeah,
make a contribution.
I just said, let me also make a contribution to the subject under discussion.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the issue, really, for me, I want to go back to how much you have deliberated on the issue or trying to teach us or tell us as citizens in terms of the issues that have been running through in the party concerning all these, the presidents and all that. When the party held the elections, we had all that kind of misunderstanding, and you came here and you explained and so forth, and we kind of moved. And for me, Ambassador, today I'm calling you with a heart that is very sad, because when I look at the issues of what happened today, when I listened to the press conference that was, I think, held by Mwamba, I watched him and I listened and I paid attention, and I usually pay attention to details. His explanation of things and how things were unfolding was just something that I could not understand, because at this point, Ambassador, we are expecting to be moving forward in the place where we are embracing the person we thought we had actually picked, who is Makebi Zulu. You've also labored to explain to us, what happened in Petauke, because the PF was not allowed to stand, we had to use an SPV vehicle, we had to have NCP, we went to Chama. You've explained all those issues, and you said, colleagues, people of Zambia, my friends here and there, you told us to say, even now, I think we don't have time, we are going to move in this direction, we will need to choose a person who we are going to say, this is the person who's going to be a presidential candidate for whatever vehicle we are going to choose at a later stage. And we were moving as PF that remained under the Honorable Given Luvinda, who I have respected with so much, because I know how much the hit he has gotten, the time, Tonse, all this confusion. We all know the history. We've respected him. He has held the party together. And at this time, Ambassador, we expected actually the Honorable Given Luvinda to now be at the center to say, okay, this is what the people have spoken to say they want to move with Makebi Zulu. Can we now move as a people? We only have maybe 135 days to elections day. And this is the time he should be there to ensure that let's move as a team. Whatever Mwamba did today for me, it is really heartbreaking, because at that point, Ambassador, if you ask me, I expected him to say, as PF, we've gotten the party and all that. And yes, my people in one or the other tried to pick a person who can run on the PF. But because we have other issues, as a way of embracing a brother, not to show the way he was coming out, for me, it's a very, very wrong thing that he did. We should call people for what they do. This is not the time. It's like we're going back to 2023. Trust me, my memories went back to 2023, where we had that convention which you hold, and it taught me something. My instinct, I remember one time I called on Juvatali when he was having a discussion some time back. I told him, I said, this coming of Mpambe, of even asking for forgiveness to Israel, I don't trust him. I think he may just come and do some Mingalado at a later stage. People said, no, let's embrace him, let's whatever. We embrace him and all that. Trust me, today for me, he took me back to that day. And it's like whatever has been done in terms of building the party and all that has just been undone it has been undone. It's like you undo the thing that we have built so far in terms of moving forward as a party, because at this point we have literally no time. What the other question I have, Ambassador, to all the MCC, if it was another person who won that election, were we going to be at this stage? Why is it that every time somebody else wins the election, you, because you lost, it has to be a battle? We can't have people who appreciate to say, okay, my friend has won and this is what people want. Let's move in that direction, especially now that we don't have time. It's so sad, Ambassador. We have a person in Makebi. You've labored on your EMV to say, who do we choose? People chose Makebi. We went on the ground. Again, Makebi was chosen. So why is it so difficult for the people in the MCC to say, colleagues, let's move in this direction? It's a very sad situation, Ambassador. I just hope we can, I think the Mouse could rethink the things that he did today, and also come to a point where he appreciates and embraces his brother Makebi Zulu, and we move forward with all the people. We know right now, everybody, it is a very hard time for Makebi, but we have to give him support as a person who has been appointed to lead the PF presidential and be a candidate at that particular time. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. I know your phones are buzzing, but I declared that to be our last caller, and she was a lucky woman from AI Kingdom. That is our last caller. We'll pick up the debate. Happy Easter, and remember, the reason for the season is our Lord Jesus Christ. It's not those eggs. It is our Lord Jesus Christ is the reason for this season. God bless you, and we'll speak to you tomorrow.
Okay, we're live. Okay. Following the expiration of the administrative authority of the recent office bearers, led by Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, in the UPND on February 14th, 2026, I, Patrick Tembobanda, in light of the ongoing leadership vacuum within the organization, I have assumed full legitimate control of the party leadership of the UPND as the interim president. Therefore, in preparation for a general assembly, I will, within the next 2 days, in consulting, will be preceded by intra-party elections at all lower structural levels.
The first caller, I think it was Peter, who mentioned the electoral process.
That's right.
Are you worried about the electoral process? Do you also think that it will be a free and fair election?
We are likely to have sham elections. Yes, correct. At the rate we are going, the elections will be sham. You heard Mr. Hichilema declare publicly that if it wasn't for Bill 7, they were going to lose the elections. Unsolicited. There was no journalist who forced him to make that statement. He made it on his own. We were saying, as a nation, many people in the country were saying Bill 7 is about the 2026 elections. People were denying that. Even himself was denying that. But now he's saying it unsolicited. So if Bill 7 is about him winning the elections, if without Bill 7 he was going to lose the elections, what has he done? Yes. What have they done to make them win with Bill 7? And indeed, if he's not lying, there are some mechanisms that they have put in place that will enable them to win, that will disadvantage their competitors. So the status quo as it stood before Bill 7 was not favorable to them winning. They were going to lose. So what is it that he has done in Bill 7 that will make him win? Again, we can see that there is an attempt to ensure that there's no contest. We have applied 34 times as at 2 weeks ago, 34 times to have a rally in Zambia. Since 2021, we have never been allowed to have a single rally. They are finishing their term of office without the Socialist Party ever being given a chance to hold a rally. And it's not just rallies, even just small meetings. They are going after you. How do you mobilize as a political party? How do you communicate?
The UPND is a democratic party that believes and upholds the rights of members. If a member goes to court, let him proceed and prosecute his claims in court. It is not in the interest of the party for anyone who purports to be a member of the party to continuously disparage his own party. We as a party are going to defend the UPND in court. We are not going to defend ourselves in
uhuru and politics wataka political prostitution. Okay, where now we are seeing the same things that is happening, you say, in development, where the civil servant, when a senior civil servant is visiting them, they parade a person, say this and this. This is exactly what is doing in the politics. In the first place, a political party is formed under an ideology. A political party is formed under an ideology. If there is a political party that has got no ideology, these are the political parties that they should be deregistered. It's just like churches. Today, I cannot be a Roman Catholic church. Tomorrow I wake up, I'm in RCZ. The other day I'm in Zion. The other day I'm in the seventh day. Then what am I standing for? Do I have any principles in the first place? Do I understand why the church